And we are here. That's right. We are back. And there's a conversation that I heard about. Someone wrote to me. It's the same person that had told me about the Cal Kestis thing and said, hey, this is what's going on with the Cal Kestis thing. That was about 2 years ago. And then it came back up. That person said the Cal Kestis thing, still happening. But it's not necessarily his own show. Could be popping up in other things, but Cal Kestis will be doing something. I also hear that there was a conversation that not even James Gunn and Safran are even aware of at this point. It's a conversation that executives have. Hey, is it going to be too confusing for people with this Batman thing? If the Batman 2 does well, do we still want to do a Batman 3? If Superman does really well? And the conversations are starting there. Now, this is high-level executives, apparently. Now, whether or not Gunn and Safran say, well, F you, we're doing it that way anyway, who knows? But we're going to talk about the conversation itself and see. And then yesterday, or today, rather, I saw someone comment going, oh, it looks like Kristian didn't learn from anything. Posted another rumor. Yesterday, there was a report that James Gunn debunked the idea that the Batman was going to be middle-aged. He said that's never happened. But there was a story that was out there. If we see potential stories that are out there in a lot of ways that, guess what? A lot of rumors and stuff that whether Snyder or other people put, that's why I always put a question mark inside of it and say, well, is this something that comes to fruition? We're going to cover that story that James Gunn debunked it. Also going to cover the fact that this conversation did happen between executives. Now, whether or not it's going to happen or not, we'll discuss. So when people are saying silly things like, why would you cover something like this? Because it's a conversation that happened, and we should talk about it. Now, whether or not I think it's going to happen, if they're going to cancel it, it's another debate with myself, Winston, and Coy. And also getting into the idea of canceling things and bringing things back. Connie Neilsen, talking about Gladiator 2, talked about Wonder Woman and said, hey, this thing should come back, Wonder Woman 3. Silly for them not to. We'll see if we agree or disagree. So it is myself, Coy, Winston. It's the show. Let's do it. Having a rough go today with the electronics. I'll tell you that. It's Winston's fault though today, so I'm going to throw him right under the bus.
I was going to say you got to employ the youths.
Well, it's definitely your fault today, and I have no problem saying that.
That's look, man. I'm gonna say it's you pointing at you right now. That's all that is. That's literally
sure.
Spider-Man. Don't talk to me, Spider-Man, about Spider-Man.
Whatever. Coy, how you doing? I like you today. What's going on?
Oh, hey, yeah. Look at me being the good student today.
That's right.
Jackass.
On time, early.
That's right. You were, and you deserve that thumbs up.
You hate the thumbs up.
I earned this one.
I do. He earned it today.
Fireworks are coming later, but for now,
he earned it today for sure. We are back. It is Capes and Cowls. And yeah, man. So look, I got an email last night. And I get emails about whether it's, and I'm sure you guys do too, about scoops and things and rumors and all that. And a lot of times I go, well, I'll let the scoopers handle this. It's not my thing that I normally do. You know, I've done it a few different times. I did it with the He-Man scoop that came in about the kid that was going to play him at the time. And then it turned out the kid did get cast. Not anymore, but he did get cast for sure. And then there was this thing I got about Cal Kestis, about him getting his own show. And then I also heard that is still going to happen, not necessarily him getting his own show, but he's still going to be involved, and they're going to make him live action. Why wouldn't you? That kid is a great actor. But the thing that I got, and I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about this, and it is that apparently James Gunn and Matt Reeves don't even know about this particular conversation. This is not something that, you know, you can tweet at James Gunn all day long, and he'll be like, oh, that's a conversation I had, and that's not what I'm hearing here. What I'm hearing is that there were executives that were talking about this and saying that the Batman 3 could be canceled if Superman outperforms the Batman. And what this person said is they think that basically means that if it does better than the Batman, I would assume is what they're talking about. And the logic is that otherwise Brave and the Bold comes out between the Batman 2 and 3 and will be too confusing for the audiences. That these executives are also worried about Gunn's decision to let Muschietti direct it because The Flash underperformed and audiences didn't respond to his tone, and they're not sure he's the right choice. Again, Gunn has not been in on these conversations yet, but will be, obviously. But they're going to cross this bridge later, depending on the finished script and Gunn's opinion on it. This was overheard from a meeting conversation between some execs. Now, do I think that this is a real conversation that happened? Yes, I do. I think this is absolutely a real conversation that happened between executives because I've heard conversations like this with executives. I think that are they going to have, if James Gunn wants to do this and he wants to have Muschietti and he wants to go with Batman 3, do I still think Batman 3 is going to happen? Yes, I do. I think that James Gunn and Peter Safran are, especially if Superman performs. If Superman performs and James Gunn wants this Matt Reeves thing to continue to go on, even more power he's going to have to do it. So I think it is still going to happen. But do I think that these conversations are happening? Because I don't disagree with the logic of, well, are people going to be confused, a regular moviegoer? I think that it is a possible thing. But Coy, the conversation, my feelings won't be hurt at all. Do you think it was a real conversation? Do you think that it's something that actually happened? Do you think that if it is, will it happen? What say you?
I think it could have been a real conversation between executives, because if there's one thing we know about executives, it's they like to go like, well, what if the sky was falling? Well, what's the bottom line with the stockholders? We'll see on quarter four reports come in. Well, we'll see what they have these they have to find a reason to rationalize paying themselves to cut the costs of every actual creative person. Like, that's their job. So they sit in rooms and they puff hot air. But whether that actually gets to the place of Safran and Gunn, that's a completely another conversation. So I believe that your source heard that this conversation was had. That I believe. But Gunn and Safran have a really unique setup at WB in that DC Studios isn't actually under the WB umbrella in the same way DC Films was. It's a separate entity. DC Studios is owned and will be distributed through WB, but there's a different overhead above that studio than DC Films even had. So I don't know what executives beyond Gunn and Safran they have to answer to, except for the money executives. That was the idea, was Safran is the money and Gunn is the creative. And conceptually, as long as they do okay, they don't have that kind of oversight. So my thing would be, maybe this conversation happened with people at WB that don't actually have anything directly in line with Gunn and Safran at the present, but I know they just announced Dynamic Duo, which is going to be produced by Matt Reeves and Gunn. So clearly they're working together great. Penguin is killing it. The first DC Studios show is Penguin, which is Matt Reeves, and the first movie is out today, which is the Superman, the Christopher Reeves story. So I feel like DC's in a really good spot. This kind of like sky is falling mentality feels like the old guard going like, well, what if we do all of... So that's just my 2 cents.
I think they're also panicking because of Joker, is what I think it is.
This is a very Joker conversation of like, what if there's 2 Jokers? What if there's 2 Batman?
That's what I think has happened. I think that it's
the timing is very specific.
Because that's the reason why I believe that this conversation was very real. I think that this conversation was very real because this is what executives do. They panic. They don't think, and this is also why I think it's very real that Gunn and Reeves have not been in this conversation, because they would say, stop this. We know what we're doing. We have this dynamic duo thing we're working on. Batman, and every point you just made. The Penguin is doing gangbuster ratings. The Batman 2 is going to crush. And it'll also be those same executives that are having that conversation. You can turn to them and go, shut up. Look at how much money the Batman 2 just made. Why would you cancel the Batman 3? It makes no sense. So, like, that's when people go, I don't believe the conversation. Well, then you don't know how this works. They obviously 100% had the conversation. Now, do I think that anything's going to come from this conversation? If Superman, I think the exact opposite. I think that if Superman does well, Winston, I think that it's a conversation that even if they want it to happen, it will not, because Gunn will not allow it to, because of Coys said his relationship with Matt Reeves is too strong right now.
Yeah, you're not gonna burn that bridge if I think what Coy's bringing up specifically with Joker 2 is when you consider how successful Joker 1 was, and so it's the same breath with how successful the Batman is. So that's where this is kind of like, oh God, what if this follow-up we shouldn't have greenlit? What if he just does his own thing and it doesn't really stick to what the original plan was, and then it kind of goes, tits up and the fans hate it? And I very much believe this conversation happened, because I very much believe that Warner Brothers is, as we've discussed, in a lot of trouble.
Right.
If they don't churn out hits like Barbie and the Joker and Batman on the regular, the studio is not going to be okay.
Right.
And so I definitely believe this conversation happened, but I also believe that you don't offer the money and the power and the control and that kind of deal to a Gunn and a Safran if you're not willing to let them cook. I know you hate that phrase now, but
to counter that though, Winston, is that it's the Joker conversation as well, because you could have said the same thing where like, well, you know, you look at a guy like Todd Phillips who made you $1 billion, you got to let him cook, and then they did, and he burnt the restaurant down.
Well, but I think that there's a couple differences. The first is you didn't ask Todd Phillips to run an entire studio.
You almost did. You almost did.
You're supposed to be DC Podcast.
You almost did.
But whose fault is it? Like that? Literally, that there's a difference. You didn't offer it to him.
Right.
You thought about it.
He said no. He said no.
But that should have been enough of an indicator to that point. If he straight up was like, nah, I'm good, he was already letting you know he didn't really care for the franchises like that. And he made that clear even in the first Joker and then followed it up with the second here. This is just something that, as we've discussed, he wanted to do his homage to Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. And as a lot of people have pointed out on the internet, if he had just put out a guy with mental health issues, has a bad day and you know, does some murders and gets a cult following, would have made like 200 million. But because you slap DC on it and you slap the Joker on it and Gotham, all of a sudden everybody's like, hey, yo.
Yeah.
So I genuinely think there's a difference here. We know James Gunn loves this, breathes this, eats this, and so does Safran. So they're not going to teeter out here. It felt like, I know Todd Phillips like, I have more to say. This movie felt more like, I made $1 billion movie. They want me to make another one. Okay.
I agree with you. And I think, but it's also showing you, it shows a lot of different things. I think that it is, that's why, again, I saw someone say, I don't believe the rumor, but I 100% believe the conversation that was had between these executives, because it to me, the reason why I wanted to cover this, it shows you the types of conversations that executives have. Like, well, wait a minute, we got to do this. What I will say, part of the conversation that I definitely believe, and I probably would say, I don't know, maybe. And I know you just took a picture with him, Coy, but I want to hear what you say. Andy Muschietti.
I love that guy.
He's a great dude. But let's not talk about how nice of a guy he is. This is a what have you done for me lately? And he's coming off of a stinker of a box office movie and a DC movie at that. I can see the executives going, okay, look, let's not cancel the Batman 3. Even if it's going to make a lot of money, then let's put that on the table. But if they're going to do it, you think Muschietti's the guy? Now, this is another executive conversation, because if the Flash made $1 billion, they'd say, yeah, Muschietti's the guy. They don't think about creative; they think about the money. So, is Muschietti the guy still, Coy?
So he's got another Warner Brothers property coming up. Between this would even like happen yet, he's got the Dairy Show, which is a thing he shot over like 9 months in Canada, which is like in that world that I'm 90% sure it is also WB, right? And
yeah,
so it made
it was WB.
$1 billion
it was WB
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he's got a huge hit for WB. Obviously, Flash is more pertinent and all those things. But I think depending on how Derry goes, and I think depending on how much James Gunn sees his vision, because I don't know how firm those talks were, and I consider all of my talks with Andy about Batman like off the record. I don't know what is confirmed tonight, and that's not fair. So I'm not going to be one of those guys talking about executive conversations about my conversation with Batman. But I do know that the way he sees Batman is very specific, and I don't know if that is what the greater vision is, but I do know those conversations at least got to the point where we did see the trades report on them. I don't know what that means after Derry, but I do think it's worth noting that there hasn't been big announcements since like the Craig Gillespie thing with Supergirl and the James Mangold thing with Swamp Thing. Even those felt like they were written in pencil until recently. So
here's what I say, because going off what Winston said before, they're in a position now. They've given Gunn and Safran the keys to the castle, right? So here's what we know about James Gunn. He's an extremely loyal dude. Muschietti ain't going anywhere. Muschietti is going to be directing this movie, whether you like it or not. He's going to be directing it, and he's an incredible talent. He had a bad movie that, and I again, there's a lot of Flash I don't like. There's a lot of Flash I do like, but anybody, if he turns in any of that type of CGI from The Brave and the Bold, you tell him stop that. You say stop that.
I love that, man. Yes, I agree. Like I can. Those two things can be true at once.
Stop that. But I think that the Batman 3 will happen. I think that Muschietti will direct. I think that the executives will have this conversation that they had and say, hey, James, hey, Peter, this is what we're thinking. And they go, fuck you very much. We'll see you later. And that's, I think, what's going to happen. So, Winston, any final thoughts on this one? As Muschietti, he's not going anywhere.
I'm sure Muschietti will be fine. I think that there was a number of things kind of happening at once with the Flash that actually made this an issue. And I think the biggest one was you poured so much money into it, and you called all in because that you had already put too much money in. Mm-hmm. So I think if you put it in a situation where that's not allowed to happen again, like Muschietti is a very talented director, I think you will see something better come to fruition. So I think he'll be fine.
I do too. Like I said, the person that I have talked to in the past is, I believe, 100% telling me something that executives said. So you talk about whatever you want in the comments section. I believe the conversation happened. The stuff that they want to happen out of it is not going to happen.
For context, I just started to interrupt. I do also think that, like those scenes in the movie where someone's in like the bathroom, like in a stall, and there's two people peeing and talking. Like this could have literally been two executives being
100%.
Hey, you think it's got to be weird? There's two Batmans.
It seemed like that's what it was.
It felt literally, if not that, bro, it felt like these execs, they all got that little sauna in the
right. It's that kind of like, hey,
good workout, man. Yeah, you really killed it in that pickleball game.
It's 100%.
Why did Batman don't work out, bro? Like, what do we do?
Yes,
like,
this is what
I can't tell the difference. I thought Clooney was Val Kilmer. I don't.
Right. Like, this is why I believe it. This is why I 100% believe it. I think it was someone who said. They were listening and going, oh, I heard so-and-so talking about this. They don't want Muschietti. They don't think they should keep the Batman 3. These are two big executives talking about it. Here, what do you think? And I think it happens all the time.
2 weeks ago that people were like, oh, Pattinson's going to be the DCU Batman, which would not work. I love Pattinson because he's not the DCU Batman. So that could have been the same conversation of like, wait, don't we already have a Batman? And people that don't watch or care about this stuff because they're just getting the stocks.
Batman makes money.
Yeah,
that's
true.
all they know.
Well, somebody in the comments goes, we're scooping bathroom talks now, and it's like, yeah, if it's a conversation. Someone in a bathroom can't talk about something huge that's going to happen. If that same person is taking a dump and goes, guess what? Henry Cavill's going to play Dr. Doom, and you wouldn't want to hear about it? Of course you would. He's like, oh, he's playing Doom. And it's like, yeah, he's in
sports all the time.
All the time.
Where Devontae Adams going? Is he going? I heard he going where Aaron Rodgers.
People are hilarious. It's the holier than thou idea of like how people should run stuff. I'm like, no, don't put that down there. Don't put that as the head title. F you. I'm talking about this because this is stuff that happens in the business all of the time.
Kristian, did you watch the Mr. McMahon docuseries?
No, I heard about it. I gotta see it.
You gotta watch it. It's fantastic. But even talking it, because I remember Schmodown, when you would come up with something, it'd literally be like we're sitting around shooting the shit about whatever, like we're on a break and someone would say something, you go, ooh, I could work with that. And then you'd be gone, you come back an hour later, all right, here's what we're doing. Literally off of just shooting the shit.
That's what happens.
What I mean? So
it's 100%. Anyway, so we got a lot, and there's, speaking of Gunn, he actually, and because we covered something yesterday, there was a rumor that happened about what kind of age range they were looking at for Batman. He shot that down, and we'll discuss that in a moment. I want to give you guys an update because you didn't know it yet. We had a battle this week with the questions, guys. A battle. Ooh. Roca started out strong. Roxy and Mike dethroned him with 83 on Tuesday, and I had a whopping 9 on Wednesday, which was wonderful. However, I'll take it because Billy Magnuson was on. Did you see the question about Booster Gold?
Yeah, that made me happy.
Oh, good.
Watching you ask it, I literally saw like he looked like Booster Gold when he responded. Like I was like, that's Booster, man.
I do. I'm going to clip that out. I'm going to tweet it at James Gunn, by the way. But
please.
So is Camille not confirmed then?
It's not confirmed.
There's actually one of the debunkings was not. It's not debunking that, but James Gunn.
Well, don't say it because we're gonna. That's our next story.
Soon.
It's our next story. And then yesterday, so Steph and Brett were supposed to be on yesterday, so only Steph was on. So Steph had to battle against it, and Steph did 103 questions yesterday. So Steph is at 103 right now, you guys. But I will say this: we haven't even finish the second story, and you guys just hit 23. So it's already a fight. It's already a fight.
And we ain't even talk about Jon Stewart yet.
No, and even though you're late. Okay, so let's get to the next question, next story, and that is James Gunn teases possible trailer debut, and he debunks a big DCU Batman rumor. Superman director James Gunn has once again answered a series of fan questions on social media, weighing in on a possible trailer for that movie, recent Batman casting rumors, and DC Studios hierarchy. DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn has once again shared some big DCU updates, and while he didn't exactly confirm when we're getting a Superman trailer, he didn't exactly confirm we're getting a Superman trailer before the end of the year. He didn't deny it, which is interesting. There have been rumblings for a while that the DCU might be showcased at CCXP in Brazil this December, and it would be a smart end of the year by showing the Man of Steel, Man of Tomorrow. For now, we'll just have to wait to see what happens. A few months ago, there were rumors that Eternal star Kumail Nanjiani might be the DCU's Booster Gold. We've heard nothing more since, and the trades haven't shared any updates on the planned TV series. After posting a fan-made image with Nanjiani pictured along Booster, Gunn was quick to point out his sharing it wasn't meant to confirm any casting reports. And he said, no, I foolishly didn't even know there was more than one photo when someone asked him about posting that if Nanjiani was indeed Booster Gold. Joker Folie à Deux bombed at the box office. Last weekend, and shortly before its release, writer and director Todd Phillips made it clear that a sequel is Warner Brothers' movie, not a DC Studios one. Well, that goes both ways, because Gunn has made a point of reminding fans that DC Studios will not operate under the Warner Brothers banner, unlike DC Film Studio, which oversaw the DC Extended Universe. That's what Coy was saying. What's that, Winston?
Oh, I just said NO.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's like a power move.
Totally
and also,
is.
and like, this is not to disrespect Todd Phillips or anyone from the old regime, but I've found it very interesting that James Gunn has been posting every week with the Batman, with the Penguin episodes. He's been posting nonstop about any announcements. He's been posting comic book updates. He's been posting like Superman and Lois updates. Not a single frame was posted about Joker. So I think there is a very clear line in the sand that he's trying to make, even if it's an absence of, like, it's subtle, but I don't think, because Todd Phillips even said that James Gunn sent notes and he ignored them. So it's a different thing now with DC Studios.
Totally is. And then from yesterday's report, he hit back at recent reports that he's looking to cast a middle-aged actor as the DCU's Batman, branding the story bullshit. Filmmaker and studio executive repeatedly called the rumor out as false. That led to a response from My Time to Shine, who, as you can see below, pointed out that Gunn said something similar after he revealed the Superman suit design and plans for Ultraman to appear in the 2025 reboot. And he said, I know you don't like debunking, because people can use it to deduce the truth, but damn, it feels good when you do it. And James Gunn says, sometimes it's just such unadulterated, complete, made-up nonsense, it's hard to ignore. My Time to Shine Hello says, remember when the Superman suit and Ultraman were debunked? Let's just wait and see. Which I think is completely fair, because executives do this all the time. They do it all the time, where they go, no, that's not true. And then it's true. It happens. And these guys have been pretty accurate too. And that's why I tell the audience who comes in again with the holier-than-thou suits saying, oh, look, you maybe shouldn't have reported on that. It turns out to not be true. You believe everything everyone tells you? Remember when J.J. Abrams said that it wasn't Khan? What happens if you would have... Yeah. What if you would have did an article that said, so-and-so, Benedict Cumberbatch is playing Khan, and then J.J. says it's not. Those people in the comments go, oh, see, you were wrong. He says it's not. So it's stories are stories. You can say what you want to people. I think that My Time to Shine has been pretty good so far. Now, does that necessarily mean that he's going to be casting a middle-aged Batman? No. But I don't know. Coy, there's a lot here. What do you make of this?
The Kumail story stands out only because him saying no, period, I didn't realize it was a second photo, doesn't confirm or deny Kumail Nanjiani as Booster Gold, which I think is really interesting, because I really love Booster Gold and I really love Kumail Nanjiani, but I do not see that pairing. No. And again, like, I like to be proven wrong when casting doesn't work, but I think a big part of the character of Booster Gold is a Ken-like arrogance, that I see Kumail as a nerd turned bro more than a Ken turned nerd. And that's an important distinction, like the which way you're punching up versus down as someone insecure. And Booster Gold needs to be insecure in his popularity, whereas Kumail Nanjiani feels like he just found out how awesome he was, as opposed to thinking you're awesome and realizing you're not. So the Booster Gold thing is the most interesting thing to me, because I want my Booster Gold to be like my beep, don't stink. I don't know what words we can say in live.
That's fine. But he's also, and I think he's a really talented guy, and I think he's really good in all the roles. They're overusing him in the roles like this. They're overusing him in so many. Like he's been cast in like every single him and Aquafina. They pop up like so because cast somebody else. Find somebody new. Because they're cast
Billy Magnus.
Sure, but I mean anybody, no matter who it is. Like it's like I don't care. White, green, black, yellow, orange, purple. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Cast whoever is great, but give it to somebody who needs it. This guy has been in everything, and it's just like Eternals, Ghostbusters. It's like it's find somebody new.
I was about to go. What else is he?
Tons, dude.
It's Eternals, but he wasn't Ghostbusters.
Everything. It's in everything.
Yeah, I look. I think after if you haven't already, y'all, you need to watch the franchise. And Billy's done work for a while, but if you ever needed proof that he's actually perfect for Booster Gold, I can't wait for y'all to see this second episode because it's the most Booster Gold kind of like everybody likes me, right?
Yep.
Like where you put on this front. And then somebody says something to you, and now all of a sudden you're having a full existential crisis.
It's true.
He would be perfect for it. Now that being said, I definitely, especially like having like I don't know if you guys watched Silicon Valley back in the day, but having seen what he did even with that, it was the same thing where he thought he was God's gift, and people would whisper something in his ear, and he'd have again existential crisis and meltdown. But if you're going off of what we were talking about with Brolin, for Hal Jordan, with what we're talking about now, give it to someone else to have that opportunity. You know, not that Billy hasn't done a lot of great work, but this is the type of role that's big enough that could now all of a sudden he's a full household name, and not those of us that are in the industry and like I really like Billy Magnuson's work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, and what was disheartening to me, and it's why I do want to soon, because I'm telling you, it's too stupid busy right now, but I want to clip out that thing when I asked him about it, because I said, have you even had in conversations with Gunn? He's like, I don't even know if James Gunn knows who I am. Like he said, I don't even know who you know. He's like, you got to be in that circle. I'm not in that circle. He seemed let down by it.
I think he will now, though. I think that where he's undercutting himself, I genuinely think being in the Warner family with the franchise and considering what his performance is doing, I think he'll, at the very least, James knows his name now. And I hope that he's taking it seriously going forward. I can understand maybe not before that, but you're now within the same studio. This is where Gunn lives in totality. I'm sure he knows who he is now.
I sure hope so. I'm curious about what you guys think about all of this, whether it's Billy Magnuson as Gooster Bold, as Gooster Bold, good old Gooster B, old Gooster BB, Booster Gold. Any of the things that James Gunn said, all your comments, make sure that not only you're putting them in the live chat now, if you want to ask us a question, sure. Spotify takes comments now, all of that. And speaking of Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, anywhere that podcasts are found, you want to listen to us. We're trying to make a heavier push there. Also making a push that we have memberships now. The Capes and Cowls comic book is available for the YouTube members as well as it's available for the patrons. So if you join up to the membership today, you can get all those issues, and we're going to do a full thing. It's going to be like a 2.5-hour episode once we get everybody in to do the voices. It's going to be great. Okay, before we move on, I want to tell you guys about two of our sponsors today. I'll tell you both about AG1 and Hello Tushy. All right, let's do it. Let's talk AG1. I love AG1. I had it this morning. I love it. It helps you build a healthy morning routine. 60 seconds to get your daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre and probiotics, adaptogens, more, and I've been drinking it for, forever. You can't be part of this show if you haven't heard me talking about AG1. I'm going to give you a couple of fast facts about AG1 and how it supports your gut health. It contains prebiotics, probiotics, and gut-supporting ingredients to support your digestion, reduce bloating, and keep you regular. In a research study, 80% of participants noticed less gas and bloating after 30 days of drinking AG1. For me, I've had a lot of changes since I started to. I sleep better, better gut health, my focus, stress, all of it. It's just great. AG1's powder form makes it easy for your body to digest and access the nutrient-dense ingredients in the formula. They've been around with us for so long because so many of you guys have been doing it also. You've been getting AG1, you've been checking it out, you've been changing your routines, and it's worked. So if you want to start and notice the difference for yourself, it's a great first step to invest in your health, and that's why they've been a proud partner of mine for so long. Try AG1 and get a free bottle of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/bigthing. $48 value for free if you go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. Go ahead, check it out. All right, let's talk about Hello Tushy. Now, is your butt gonna be a skid mark again for Halloween? No, that's right, Winston. You got to wipe that slate clean by backing off toilet paper, embracing a fresh stream of water from a Tushy bidet. I love the Tushy bidets. I feel so classy because the spooky season's upon us, but there's no reason that your bathroom routine should give you the chills. Come on. It is so good. I got one a while ago, and we got 2 of them now in the house. It's in just 8 minutes. It changed the future of your butt forever. It's the best. They have different... There's just so many different settings and things you can do. It's just, I love it. It's great. The installation is so simple. Toilet paper only smears your poop around, guys. But with the Tushy bidet, the nozzle adjuster, you get a precise clean every single time. It comes with the nozzle adjuster to find the best angle for the most precise clean of your life. Every Hello Tushy bidet comes with a 30-day hassle-free return and a 12-month warranty. So it's time to ditch toilet paper and finally feel shower fresh with Hello Tushy. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet when you use the code BIGTHING at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with that promo code BIGTHING. Love them. Love AG1. And I'm hoping that you guys are checking them out because I know that I know you guys have continuously, whether no matter who are you all you on AG1. Everybody, I mean, you should be using the bidets. If you're not, I don't know what the hell you're doing with yourself. It's like I do feel like a class act. I'll tell you that. What I'm doing. I know it's a false thing, but still. Anyway, so let's move on to some more topics here, guys, because there's a ton of them. You know, let's stay in the DC world because there is another topic. Did you guys see this thing with Connie Neilsen today?
The Wonder Woman thing?
Yeah. So I think she's promoting Gladiator 2 right now. And they ask, obviously everybody's always asking about comic book movies when they're doing it. So she was talking about how crazy it is that people aren't even considering doing the third one. And here's the story itself. So Connie Neilsen said, no Wonder Woman 3? That's crazy. Dark Horizons, James Gunn, and Peter Safran's DC Universe plans were announced back in early 2023, with new films coming for Superman, Batman, Supergirl, Swamp Thing, and The Authority. Similarly, Green Lantern was getting another go with HBO Lantern series, but what about Wonder Woman? Patty Jenkins' 2017 Wonder Woman film was the best reviewed film of the entire DC Extended Universe, posting critical aggregate scores, even the best of the Marvel Studios. It also drew $824 million in the global box office from a contained $149 million budget. Unfortunately, the sequel didn't fare so well with mixed reviews and box office heavily impacted by the pandemic. And by mixed reviews, Mike Kalinowski, the sole person who likes the film. A third film was loosely in development until Gunn's new DC Universe plans were announced, and the project essentially was scrapped. Connie Neilsen, who plays Queen, I always get this, what is it? Tell me, guys. Hippolyta?
Hippolyta, yeah.
Hippolyta.
Is it? Yeah, I've only heard it.
Hippolyta?
Right, so.
See? Okay.
Hippolyta.
Okay, so you were laughing at me and Coys said the same thing. So F you. In the old DCEU films, revealed to Den of Geek this week that she's baffled by the decision. Baffled! I think it's crazy. I mean, frankly, I don't understand it. Wonder Woman made $800 million just in the movie theaters, and it has an enormous and passionate fan base. They are spectacular films, and there's just no reason I can understand whatsoever for not investing in that. If I was a business person, I would say that's money on the table. It's right there. Plus, every time we've done it with budgets that way they're smaller than any of the DC budgets. It's a pity. I really hope they change their minds and that they realize this is crazy. This is $1 billion that's lying on the table. Not claiming those fans and making them happy is something I don't understand. Gunn and Safran are returning to the world of Wonder Woman with the Max series Paradise Lost. Will be set in the past, but no word is when that's coming. I love Connie Neilsen. She's dead wrong. I love her. But this is clearly someone who's passionate about working in this franchise, I believe that she thinks everything that she's saying is true. But business-wise, no. Right now, today, with the way that this is structured and the way that everything else is happening, no. Wonder Woman 3 would not make $1 billion. Because you have to start fresh again. Then there's no way to reconsider. No, they can't reconsider. They're coming up with a new Wonder Woman. It would make no sense if they're thinking about potential. If that executive conversation is real, and they're talking about potentially not going forward with a Batman 3, which is going to be extremely successful. They're trying to get everything in so everybody isn't confused. But yes, I love Connie Neilsen, but no, they should not make a Wonder Woman 3. Winston, am I wrong?
Yeah, no, not at this stage, because the one thing you have to do, we are finally kind of at the end here of the last regime. I know supposedly that was Aquaman, but we've kind of expressed that the Batman was right in that void and really had nothing to do with anything. The last major thing was the Joker, and I think any argument you may have had for maybe is if Folia Do had done well. The minute that movie tanked, any resemblance of anything past that is not Matt Reeves's situation is what's the phrase? It's like a summa cum non grata or whatever. It's like essentially the idea that we're done with that. That's not happening. You're gonna give him Peacemaker because it's Gunship. It's his direct thing that he made. He wants it in there. It is what it is. But everything else has to be from scratch at this point. And it just would not, on top of the fact, you don't need to play this tug of war with people's minds about what's happening, what's not happening. If you keep doing that, you're actually going to sow more dissent and less, put less confidence in people about how you're moving forward. So no, as I understand what she's saying, I also know what Wonder Woman means to fans in general, but especially female fans of comic stories, because we heard the stories of women-only showings of Wonder Woman. You got to start over.
Coy, do you disagree?
No, I think that she's coming from an understandable place of loving it genuinely. And I always love to hear people in the industry actually love on the comic material they're making instead of crapping on it. I think sometimes crapping on it's deserved if that property wasn't great. But she just loves this world. So I love that she's standing up for it. But after Wonder Woman 84, there's no coming back. Like, that was not good. And I love the first one, but even now when we talk about the first one, we have to mention the second one. And there's plenty of examples of like 1 great, 2 bad, 3 exceptional, but they didn't happen in the course of an entire universe shutting down. So there's really not an opportunity here, even if there had been a plan. It's just not now.
Well, also the other question is too, and how much is she really paying attention to the plans of DC? Is she? She very well might be a comic book movie fan. I don't know, but if she's not, is she paying attention to what the actual plans are? Is she paying attention to, okay, they're putting out Superman, then they're doing Supergirl, then they're casting Lanterns. Is she paying attention to all that? Because if she is, and she still thinks, and Wonder Woman could fit in there somehow, then I don't think that's the case. I think she's just thinking in the old school way of, well, that movie made a lot of money. Why?
I think she's happy with her world.
Yes.
And I don't know if she really, like the average person outside of our bubble, like specifically people watching and us, isn't paying attention to all of this. It's just like, movies are out.
That's right.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think the other part of it too, and this is just the sad part, it's just, you miss the train by about 60 seconds. Yeah. It's a situation of any of the things that got their extras. So Aquaman, Wonder Woman got a sequel, but I'm saying if you were going to be on any sort of train of like, just let us get this one last one out, all that stuff was already in the process. The Flash was already in the process. Joker 2 was already kind of greenlit. The Batman just came out when you were getting Gunn to come in. So again, if you're hitting the giant reset button, you missed the train of closing out that trilogy just by not being in production, because that was one of the first things that Gunn did. They're like, this is a script for Wonder Woman 3. We're sorry, it's done.
Well, remember when it first started, what he was saying, and I think rightfully so, and I get it. We've talked about it a million times over. He goes, we're keeping the door open. We're keeping the door open for everybody. What that means is, let's see how these movies do. If the movies do well, and then we're in a dilemma where they made a lot of money, a.k.a. the Batman, a.k.a. the Joker, where we're going to have to do sequels, and we're going to have to continue following up because there's successes. They didn't. None of them did. Even with appearances from Wonder Woman was in both of those movies that didn't do very well, and we're going to talk about one of the other ones in a second. But yeah, it's over. It was a good run. It's over. And I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. It's the same way I said about Henry Cavill. And we talked about that when all this was going down. You cannot get rid of Henry and keep everybody else. You can't. Anyway, so much there, guys, and very curious to what you guys think about all of it. I was going to move on to this other story. Well, I'll stay here, and then we'll talk about Aaron Pierre in a little bit, too, because we haven't really discussed him with the guys yet, and that's one of the biggest stories. And had we not covered it earlier in the week and had it dropped yesterday, it would have been our lead story. But we'll discuss that in just a moment. Look, everybody hopes that their movies are going to do good. Everybody, if you're in this, if you're a fan, you hope they do good. I had an opportunity to meet Zac Levi when he was on the show back in the Schmoes No days, and he was very nice to us when he came on back then, and he came on and he got us into certain parties and other things too. I'm not gonna lie, I did see a dramatic shift in him when he got cast in Shazam. But then when I was honest on this show too. There was something that happened with Coy that I wasn't thrilled about in the way that he kind of. Well, let Coy talk about it again if he wants to. But it was supposed to. Coy was supposed to host something, and Zach kind of opted to not have him do it. But the reason I bring up any of that is that there's another article that came out, and you guys can take this as you will. But Shazam star Zac Levi is reportedly bitter that his DC role didn't make him the next Chris Evans or The Rock. Zac Levi recently made headlines for endorsing Donald Trump, and a new report analyzes the Shazam star current status in Hollywood and his alleged bitterness over not becoming a bigger movie star. Between Chuck and Tangled, it felt like a matter of time before Zac Levi would break into Hollywood's A-list with a major movie role. That came in 2019 with Shazam, one of the best reviewed DCEU movies ever. The actor received praise for his portrayal of a teenager in a superhero's body. However, perhaps thanks to the pandemic or whatever deemed a one-note performance, it never really happened for Levi. The actor has shown up in Spy Kids Armageddon, Chicken Run, Dawn and Nugget, but Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and Harold and the Purple Crayon seem to serve as the end of Levi's attempt to become a mainstream movie star. Not helping matters were his social media rants after the Shazam sequel proved to be a critical and commercial flop. Levi has also become something of a controversial figure online for sharing anti-vaxxer content and following a transphobic accounts. This year has seen him endorse Robert Kennedy Jr. for U.S. President and Donald Trump, and as often the case of politics, there are those who have praised his actions and others angered by them. Levi has already said he committed career suicide by endorsing Trump in a very, very liberal Hollywood. Now, one insider who has known Levi for years tells The Hollywood Reporter that when he was cast as Shazam, it was literally his dream. He thought this was his ticket to being The Rock or Chris Evans, but it didn't happen for him, and he's bitter about that. The former Shazam has reportedly left L.A. to live in a cattle ranch in Texas. As the trade put it, he's become focused on starring in faith-based projects, which appeal to his conservative fan base. So while Levi will find a career, it seems he's pretty much done in Hollywood. Now, his politics might have played a role in that. Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Harold and the Purple Crayon, and his overall dwindling popularity are the bigger issue. Levi, who previously blamed The Rock for the Shazam sequel's issues, previously said the audience score is still good, but the critic score was, very oddly and perplexingly low. The people were insanely unkind. Listen, I've been a part of things, and as much as I wish that they were good, I know that they're okay. I know that they missed a lot. I'm not saying Shazam Fury of the Gods is some perfect Orson Welles masterpiece, but it's a good darn movie. I don't know what the future holds because the Fury of the Gods was not well received. I have no idea where we go from here. Levi is not expected to reprise his role as Shazam. The door has been left open for Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam, though we don't anticipate that happening either. Okay, so as we don't do on the show, I don't care to go into his politics and the other things about that side of what they mentioned there too. It's a completely different circumstance. Now, do I think that maybe that there is no chance that he's probably going to work because of some of the things? I don't think, by the way, and I will say this, I don't think there are sometimes, depending on what it is, I'll make a statement there. I think that we're in a different time now where there used to be a day, and even I guess back in the day, I mean, look, you look at like Bruce Willis and Sylvester Stallone and guys like that back in the day. You could be Republican, say you're a Republican and not be okay. Well, we're not hiring this person anymore. If you're open about it in Hollywood, I don't think he's wrong about that. But I don't think that has anything to do with what this article is. And this article is the idea that this guy who I will tell you, I've seen it. I saw it. Turned into a different person and thought that he was going to be a superstar. I also agree that Shazam! Fury of the Gods was not that bad. He was the worst part of the movie. He was the worst part.
That's to me why it was that bad.
Okay.
You were the focal point. We're not talking about a situation because again, part of what made the first Shazam so fun was this idea that yes, obviously, we hung with the kids, but it was him in the superhero form, feeling like he matched the age of the character he was playing and was acting like a 13-year-old discovering superpowers. But then you're supposed to be 17 and you're still acting like a 13-year-old in Fury of the Gods. It hamstrung it because he is the star of the film.
Right. It made it. Yeah. Coy?
I had fun with Shazam too. You guys know me. I don't like speaking ill of people. My experience with the Shazam movies, plural, was thorough. I did more press on Shazam 1 than any other movie except Spider-Man. I toured with it. I was with Asher and Jack in Hawaii. I was with Zach in New York and LA. Like, I was with that movie a lot. And my only negative experience was just that through all of that, when there came an opportunity to do a panel with Zach again, I prepped 2 years worth of yes ands on my old questions. Like, I formed a really fun panel for people. And the only thing that I'll speak to is just like, I got there and it was like, no, I don't have a host. I do my own thing. And like, if that's your standard protocol, I just wish it was communicated. It would have saved me 6 hours of prep. But like, I do hate to see someone that was the most nerd of the people. Nerd HQ was my favorite thing at Comic-Con. I used to see Zach all the time, like around. And I don't know the dude now, but I do know that these quotes and these things, if true, it's just sad to see because I really like dude. So like, I'm coming from a place of like, from someone that used to be around to this is unfortunate if true. But again, I don't like to speak ill of people. I hate to see something go from, oh, this is an opportunity and this is how it went.
Can I get a clarification, Kristian?
Sure.
Did it say that he said this in an interview, or this is somebody that's close to him reported he had mentioned this?
Somebody that he's close to. Yeah, okay. He didn't say that in an interview.
To that point, I'll give a little bit more grace because we've all said things that like you wouldn't necessarily say to the public, but it's just how you feel, and I'll give you that. That's fine. The time where you get in trouble is I remember with like Constance Wu straight up said in an interview, I'm pissed off that they're extending Fresh Off the Boat because there's these other projects I want to do and blah blah blah. And it's like, bro, do you know how many people would love to be in a hit sitcom that's going into its 6th season? Right. Like you sound ungrateful, and that's kind of effed up. Versus, we have all been like, God damn, like that was my moment, bro. I was going to be that guy.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So it all depends on the context, because like, I think we're in a really tricky spot with news and reporting and the internet, in that you actually, it's a great example. You spoke earlier, Kristian, about like Bruce Willis and his political view and stuff. That would have been like a blip in the Entertainment Tonight headline, but since there's 24-hour news cycles, now it's diving deeper into people's stuff, and I do think that takes away some of the mysticism of acting and movies and stuff, but it also humanizes people. So I see the double-edged sword. Sure. But someone quoting off someone's conversation, unless it's like violent or threatening, it's a different context than someone being in an interview, as Winston said. So my big through line is I really liked Zach. I really don't know what Zach's up to.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, look, the other thing that's to agree with what Winston was saying too is that being bitter about it is one thing. Thinking that you're going to be, that you have these great reviews, you're like, this is going to be my moment. As Winston said, this is it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with him getting hyped up and going, oh, I'm going to break through now. The question is, how are you going to treat the people around you? That to me is that's the bigger thing for me. Right. Now, it didn't expand on this in that thing. They didn't say that he started treating everybody terrible, but he did. That's why the stuff on Twitter when he's going after The Rock and he's going after, it's like, no, don't do that. Don't start blaming people for the reason your movie's not. You're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to.
Because that is on record. Like
that's on record.
Like that's
I agree. That's the problem. You're painting yourself as a victim in a situation when you're not victimized.
Right.
So it's blaming The Rock for why our franchise is doing bad. It's turning around. I remember at one point he was like kind of blaming the fans when it didn't do well in the first couple of weeks.
You go see our he was going after John Wick. Remember that when he went after John Wick? He went after everybody. Do you remember when he went after John Wick 4?
I totally forgot. That was so funny to me.
You have that, and then on top of that, like you said about, we are in a different age with when you put your political mindset out there, it does shift how the world looks at you one way or the other. But to even go on that stage and go, well, I just committed career suicide by saying it, like you sound like an ass. Just if you feel that way, say what you say. Don't draw attention to the fact that you're doing this and make people want to feel bad for you.
Yeah, I don't think he was as likable as he thought he was. I think
the
that's
last thing I'll say, and I do think he is perfect for Shazam, and I do really think that if anyone of us or anyone booked something that they thought was life-changing and then circumstances and a lot of things fell apart and then that would be hard. That said, Kristian, one bit of praise you ever gave me for my stand-up was when things don't go my way, I enjoy the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Like I love seeing the audience like not know what to do with me.
Yeah.
And you said that I, in one specific way, was like a veteran comic, and then I never went, guys, it's just jokes. And that was like, that meant a lot to me to be like, oh, that's like, you're a veteran comedian giving me praise as doing something like in that small way, like a veteran. This to me is the opposite. This is a comedian going like, guys, it's just jokes. Like,
it's just a joke.
You're
supposed to laugh at that one, guys. You're supposed to laugh at that one. And it's
this feels like the actor version of that. Do you know what I mean? Like this feels like.
Well, I guess that one was for me.
Yeah, right.
That feels like in an actor.
100%. Anyway, so I'm curious what you guys think, man. Like at all this stuff. Put your comments in there. Maybe you're one of the people who really loved Shazam 2, and you thought that maybe he should have been the big star. And he was great in it. Put your comments in there. Last thing before we get into the questions. The guy's got a while to go. They're at 37 right now in order to beat Steph.
In a row.
On her low. So look, to be fair, by the time we got to the 2-hour mark, Steph was only at like 40 or something. And now she hit it. So, all right.
That's 2 weeks in a row you've updated us at exactly 37, and I've yelled a Kevin Smith quote for like 5 members of the audience.
I like that. Okay, so last one. We got to talk about this. Aaron Pierre. DCU finally has its John Stewart. It's been announced that Lanterns has selected Aaron Pierre to play the Green Lantern Corps member. You can DC Studios HBO has announced that Aaron Pierre will play John Stewart in Lanterns. Kyle Chandler was cast as Hal Jordan, though the expectation is that Pierre will eventually be the DCU's main Green Lantern. Nathan Fillion was previously cast as Guy Gardner in Superman. According to the Hollywood Reporter, the hunt for John came down to Pierre and Stephen James. They both took part in screen tests alongside Chandler, and while each had their boosters, a final decision was made the other day. Pierre currently stars as the lead in Jeremy Saulnier's Rebel Ridge, which debuted on Netflix on September 6th, #1 world title on Netflix for 3 weeks in a row. In December, Aaron will take on the titular role of Mufasa in Barry Jenkins' animated Lion King prequel for Disney. All right. So I talked about this for a bit. I'm sure you guys have talked about it on your respective channels, but this to me is a good choice, and I haven't even seen Rebel Ridge. I'm doing a first time watch with my wife over the weekend for it, and we're gonna probably put it up on Tuesday. But that is a movie that is. What I will say is, even if I've heard a lot of people talk really good about it, and even the people that I've heard to say it's fine, it's like a First Blood ripoff, they've all praised him. Winston, what are your thoughts on this cast?
I mean, I like it. I think the thing that has been really interesting for a unique take for me, and it's possible you guys have seen this too, but I specifically within the Black nerd community, there's been a lot of talk about the colorism choice of it, to be honest with you. I think that he looks exactly like John Stewart from the Justice League cartoon and Justice League Unlimited. If you do look at him in multiple books, though, he does tend to be darker, similar to the conversations about Storm with Halle Berry. Like, yes, Halle Berry is a phenomenal actress, but Storm tends to be darker skinned. So a lot of the conversation that I've seen, and I think that's the only part that can be frustrating, but I also acknowledge that that's a whole deeper conversation, and I'll probably do more of that on Blurred Breakdown later myself, is just this idea of this guy is more than talented enough and proven it in so many works that he is perfect from an acting standpoint. But then some of the cultural conversation about that one way or the other, and both the idea of people being too sensitive and not sensitive enough about it at the same time. It's kind of the same erasure you saw with like John Leguizamo being like, Latino hasn't won an Emmy in forever. It's like Jarrell Jerome won yesterday. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he just happens to be a lot dark. Like you're trying, people not acknowledging stuff like that. So it's a deeper conversation. But as far as just acting, I think that he both looks like him facially, He's jacked, and he's a fantastic actor. So that part of me, I absolutely love this choice.
Coy?
I'm so excited because I think James Gunn cast, like, I was just like patiently waiting I think James Gunn is one of the things he does best is cast.
Agreed.
And I literally, like, it's funny, Kristian, this weekend I'm also watching Rebel Ridge, which had already been on my list, but this just made it a must watch as opposed to like, I hear it's good, I'll catch it. And that excites me so much for a new actor to come on my radar with such a force, because there was the month that Rebel Ridge came out, like last month, all I heard was this dude's name. And I was so excited to check it out. But now I've got like an expedited reason, and that plus the James Gunn, like, thorough screen testing for a week. It sounds like these two dudes, Stephen James and him, went through like the trial, and the timing of Kyle Chandler being announced means they were screen testing with the other side of their buddy cop. Like, they waited till after they announced Jon Stewart to confirm Kyle Chandler officially. James Gunn didn't confirm it until after. So I love the idea that they were both screen testing opposite Kyle Chandler, making sure that relationship was good, making sure that like they were thoroughly matched, and everything Winston said. I think this dude looks just like the animated series. Those eyes are insane. He's like mesmerizing looking. I'm a mostly straight guy, but this guy pops up and I was like, that's enchanting. So like, I'm really excited to see that with like the aura of the green to redeem this character that I love. I love the Green Lantern universe. So redemption from that with someone that looks like a god dude, and he's like 6'3". James Gunn is casting all these trees.
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
Yeah, I'm just happy for the way that they're putting it together. And the way that they're taking it
Green
serious.
Lantern show sounds like the best show in the history of shows.
It looks like they're
Ozark, Damon Lindelof, Tom King. Like, they're building.
And the tone and the casting. It's just why I say that you can take big IP stuff and treat it like award-winning stuff. You can go against the Scorseses of the world and prove to them and say, because when you start doing like the cotton candy fluff, and you do the kind of the same, here we go again and again and again, the same thing, just moving into motion. You expect, then Scorsese's going to go, oh yeah, it's not art. It's not art. And you can disagree with it, but you're just like, it's the same thing. It's just happening over and over and over again. But keep putting in like stuff like this. Make stuff like Andor. You know what I mean? Make stuff like, and like the Daredevil. Make stuff like that, to where people are really getting invested. Stop doing the normal, just kind of fluff. And this does not seem like fluff.
I think the first Green Lantern is exactly the stuff Scorsese is speaking on. And I think this Green Lantern is the answer to that. And I love that one property is going to be the pro and the con of how to handle this, because we are living in an age where IP is selling, and we're living in a very tenuous age with what art even is to people. And I won't get into it because it's somehow been politicized, but I think that AI is the commodification of art to the nth scale. And I think that if we keep letting that be art, like the new Hollywood A-list being like TikTokers and Instagram is, I understand people trying to be with the times, and I have no disrespect to any of those people. I think they're very talented in their own way. I know a lot of those people, but if your only art is doing imitations of art, is doing commentary on art, then art becomes an Ouroboros and it's snake eating its own tail. Then it's the same thing as AI just copying art. You need to invest in creatives. If you're going to make everything IP driven, then the IP needs to be handled in a way that's artfully done. And this is how you do that.
Agreed. What do you think, guys? What do you think about the cast? What do you think about overall how it's working out? What do you think about the topics that we covered today? Excited to hear your opinions. We're going to get to your questions. So the guys are trying to get to 103. And it is what Steph did yesterday. So we'll see if they can do it. But before we do, I also wanted to tell you guys that we do, as I mentioned, we have the memberships. I just talked to PLD, who's one of our producers, and he made sure that we're going to get the Capes and Cowls thing to anybody who's a member on YouTube. So before we move into the questions, I want to give the guys an opportunity to tell you where to find them. Start with Winston. Where can they find you?
You can find me on YouTube at The Swaggy Blurred, also on all social platforms, man. As I mentioned, I've got another Blurred breakdown coming out today. We'll talk a little bit more if you're interested in the whole colorism aspect of Jon Stewart. We'll talk about that. I've been doing my segment, Did He or Didn't He? It's Did He Watch Updates, man. So more stuff's coming out about lawsuits and did he try another vie to get out? And then some sports talk too. I love diving into that kind of stuff. So definitely come check all that out, man.
Cool.
You can find me on my page at Coy John over on YouTube. I've been doing a ton more. I just upgraded my camera. I'm just did the Christopher Reeves story, the Superman movie documentary about that journey he went through. I'm covering Penguin. I'm covering Agatha. I'm covering every major release movie. So I'm not sleeping, but I'm giving you a lot. So head over to my YouTube too.
All right. Make sure you do that. And let's get to the questions as we already starting off big here with 41. I like it. So we are going to start with, as I feel like we have to each and every time now, with Derek the Great.
Yeah.
Derek the Great starts us off here today. And he says, can we agree that WB just doesn't have it together? This feels like deja vu. Maybe Gunn and Safran will be left alone, and hopefully that Green Lantern series and Superman is awesome, but it's all just hope. Well, I think that it's definitely all hope. There's no doubt about that. But I think that what Coy said and what was in that report is it should be hopeful, where they said, and that's probably one of the things that was in Gunn's contract. Hey, I'll run this thing for you, but you got to let me do my thing. Like, I can't have people constantly saying this. I can't have somebody in the bathroom talking about how they're not going to let me pick my director. I can't let somebody in the bathroom say this. And if they do say it, I'm not going to listen to them. So you got to, I think that it does come down to, as a DC fan, you got to wait for for Superman to come out. But Winston, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that this feels very similar to a foster, like if anybody that's fostered pets or whatever, and you get a dog that, for example, came from, a challenging situation that like everything seems happy, we're here, and you do like the one little thing and the dog flips out.
Right.
It feels like because DC fans and DC execs they've been on this roller coaster where they feel like life has been chaos. You are still in a state of like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I've heard more people be like, I don't trust Gunn. I don't trust Warner Brothers than anything I've ever heard from the MCU, because at least the MCU delivered on a number of cases.
Yeah, they have nothing. They have nothing to show for it yet. Yeah. Coy?
I am going to get, the usual amount of stuff I get, but I think James Gunn was a huge cornerstone of why the MCU was a powerhouse for phases 2 and 3. And I think that even the people that don't like the MCU can respect some of what that phase 2 and 3 did. And the people that like the MCU love phase 2 and 3. So I'd argue that James Gunn being at DC and running it, having even more power, everything he's said and done so far gives me more and more faith in it. And the first 2 DC Studios properties are the best reviewed and one of the best rated shows viewership wise on HBO in the last 5 years. And then the next thing was acquiring a documentary that is the embodiment of hope. The first major superhero movie was Superman in 1978. The first major DC Studios movie is about Superman. And then there's so much beautiful kismet in that. And I think the Superman movie that we're getting next year is going to change a lot of tunes. But he hasn't had time to show anything except for Penguin. And
right.
That, I understand, was made before him. He just gave notes, reshaped. But if we're only batting 1,000 even conceptually, and then we have the stuff he did at Marvel, and then everything is announced as good, I just don't understand why spend a year thinking it's going to go bad when you can spend a year being hopeful and then be rewarded. Like, that just feels like a toxic way to wait for something that might be great, and I think will be.
Yeah, I agree. I'm so glad that this one came up, and thank you to Jean-Philippe Guerin, who writes, hey guys, I've been hearing some negative buzz about the Captain America movie from fan screenings on Reddit. Do you think these are legit? And if this movie is bad, is Marvel in trouble? So I'm so glad you brought that up, because it was one of our stories that we didn't actually cover. So let's actually, I'll bring it up real quick. And this is the story. A couple of test screenings for Marvel Studios' Captain America Brave New World are said to have taken place recently, and we're hearing some negative reports. The first test screenings were said to have been met with negative responses, which is believed to have prompted Marvel Studios to order extensive reshoots. Additional photography for the sequel took place over a 4-month period, Marvel enlisting Moon Knight writer Matthew Orton to pen new scenes and material for the film. Reshoots are the norm, but such a significant period of AP led to speculation that the studio must be making some major changes. Some new test screenings reportedly took place last week, and based on what we're hearing, the version of this movie did not go much better. Apparently, 2 screenings were held, with attendees split into groups with either a green or red. Initial report from World of Real came that the 2 cuts of the film were shown, but we're not sure if it's accurate. The studio was more likely looking for input from various demographics. In any rate, responses were said to be mixed negative, with the movie described as inessential and flat. Scooper, MTTSH, has also heard from some people who attended the screening. Said, I just heard back from 3 people who went to see the new Captain America, and woof, the movie sounds awful. Marvel had multiple test screenings of different cuts for the film in the past month. Main criticism is the use of the leader character in both. He's either too much or too little. One cut seemed to have Amanda Cho set up in it for future projects. And yeah, that's it. Okay. That's not great news.
No.
That's not great news. Now, you could always have these, and that's why Gunn talked about it. Other people talk about the test screenings, right? You have them to maybe there's ways you can see. I just heard Francis Ford Coppola on Happy Sad Confused, and he talked about how they watched a cut of Star Wars back in '76 or whatever it was, and he said it was terrible. He said it was absolutely terrible. And then, with some notes and other things too, they turned it around, they did some stuff, and they changed it. Now, is that the case? I don't know. If it's the story's bad, the story's bad. But to answer Jean-Philippe's question, yeah, Marvel's going to have to reset all over again. Not reset, but I mean, like, they're on a high level.
Nice.
They're right now they're on a high because of Deadpool and Wolverine. But it seemed like this is what keeps happening to Marvel. They hit one, Guardians, and then they fall back, and then they fall back, and then they hit one, and then they fall back. They haven't gotten the boom, boom, boom that they were doing back when they were really hitting. And we've talked about this. Coy, they need this one to be good. Is this troubling?
It's very expensive trouble.
Yeah.
This is 2 movies. When we talked about the trailer, we praised that, if you're gonna release something, you can only release it once. So doubling down sometimes is the answer. If they double down and it's not good, and this is all based on people's opinions that we don't know the validity of. This is all very, very, very word of mouth telephone. But if it doesn't do well, they luckily do have 2 other movies this year, 2025.
Yeah.
That seem to be their bigger announcement. Like, I think Thunderbolts looks to be Avengers-esque, and I think Fantastic Four is the big one. But those 6 weeks in between, like, February and May are going to be, real troublesome. 8 weeks. But I think this could be bad.
Yeah, but Winston, the other problem is and there's a question, I think it was brought up on this show. The question was, who's the leader of the new Avengers? And it was like, well, Cap, if this movie's bad, it can't be. What it's going to be bad for, it's going to be bad for Anthony Mackie, because this is Anthony Mackie's chance to be a lead of a movie, and a Captain America movie at that. And it will be bad for Marvel, and it'll be bad for him, unless you disagree.
Yeah, when you consider that nobody has disliked Falcon, but nobody has been like, damn, like, if anything, even though there have been times in the comments, you've certainly seen that, and him taking up the mantle, all of the shine has gravitated to T'Challa and to Black Panther. And understandably, because Wakanda being the mystical place that it is so fascinating. But like, oh boy,
yeah,
that is not what you want, because then you will unfortunately somehow get regulated to the back, and that's not good.
All right, so next one is from Derek the Great, and he says, do you think if they had done a legitimate reboot, no Blue Beetle in DCU, no Blue Beetle in DCU, but not the movie, no Peacemaker Limbo, no 3 Batman movie schedule, no Joker sequel, just rebooted the entire thing, that they'd be better off? That's easier said than done. It's easier said than done because of what some of the comments were saying beforehand, where if you already have movies that are in production when all this is happening, and you already have something about to shoot, you've already hired people for the jobs, and you've already started the process, you already have a movie that did very well, and you're aiming up for a sequel, and you have all these things lined up, it's easy in theory to go, scrap it all, let's just start and cross our fingers. And, there's other... Aquaman 2, by the way, gave them their money back, at least close to it. They didn't lose money on it. If they would have scrapped, they would have lost a lot of money if they just scrapped everything, because they're already in the process of doing everything. So it's not as easy. It's not as easy as that. Do you guys disagree with that?
No, I'm on the same page with you. I mean, I think the fact that there were people that were actively calling for heads to roll, the fact that Joker Folie à Deux was so rough, it was doo-doo, and people were like, so you could have released Batgirl though? You let that happen, but you couldn't just let Batgirl be? Like, I feel like you when you're already enough steps forward like that, again, I know there were issues with Ezra. I know there was all that. You put so much money into the Flash. You had to let that go. Yeah. You had to see what happens there. And I think we're in the same spot with some of the stuff that we've seen. You had to let it play out.
I want to go a little more like future casting. I don't think it's smart of DC to just be one linear universe. I think that's a huge pitfall, liability, problem at Marvel. So no, I fundamentally disagree with the question. I think that the Batman stay separate. I think you keep building out the Penguin. When I watch the Penguin, the last thing I'm thinking about is Superman. And that's a gift because I don't want to be thinking like a guy's flying overhead right now. That world doesn't work when the world has Green Lanterns and Supermans. It works when your Batman is that Batman and not a Batman that knows Clark Kent. So I want separate universes. I want Elseworlds. I want pockets. Right now, the biggest selling comic in comics is Absolute Batman. It is a reinterpretation of Batman where he literally doesn't have money. Right now, while that's running, Batman Detective Comics, Batman in World's Finest, Batman in the Justice League are all thriving at comics. It's not that complicated to have different stories with this archetypal of a character. In Flash, there were 2 Batmen. It's not like Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck didn't make people go like, wait a second, is he one guy?
Right.
Like, I just think we need to let people be a little smarter or encourage them to kind
The follow-up is pretty good with this question, and that's Mike Joyce, who says, audiences are dumb. That's
kind of where I was gonna go.
He says my
unforgivable.
He says my aunt seriously asked me if Batman was a Marvel character not too long ago. If it's good, audiences will show up no matter the universe. He's not. I wouldn't go so far as to call the audience dumb, but what I will say is that they're not always as informed as the people who watch this show, as people who are on these types of shows. The people who, in the same way that when you watch sports, there are some people who know everything about their teams, their sport, like everything about it, everything going on. And then there's you wouldn't be able to name probably 5 players on the Red Sox, for God's sakes, and he's a Red Sox fan. And
Kurt Schilling.
Right. So, but you'll root for him if they're in the World Series. But it's not one. It's one that's not even on the team anymore.
Yeah, I was like, wasn't that like 10, 15 years ago?
A long time
That's
ago.
what I'm saying. I took it beyond current team. I bet he can only name one.
But
Big Papi, Pedro,
right? All old
Babe Ruth.
But wait. But you're making jokes, but you're also proving the point. So
I would argue the other way. If you see James Bond and it's not Pierce Brosnan, you comprehend that's still James Bond.
Right.
It doesn't mean like you have to know all the lore. Like my grandma, she came on my Marvel movie news show forever ago, and someone asked her who her favorite Marvel character was. She said Superman, and it was adorable. And that just means she doesn't know what company owns that big character. It doesn't mean she's stupid, but she doesn't not understand that Superman is Superman. She just thinks that he's at someone else's house.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but I guess part of what the whole audiences are dumb situation, I don't think that is to straight up call people stupid people. I think it's more in the sense that, again, inside baseball, we understand because you're in it. Like in the same way that I've just started watching college football, I can't keep up with the conferences and what certain stuff means because I wasn't raised in it. So it's going to take time for me to figure that out. If your concern is we got to do this fast and get people now because we need money, you don't have time to explain all that, I understand where the concern's coming from.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between knowing like, well, that Keaton Batman represents a Frank Miller arc versus that Batman, actually a better example is Ben Affleck represents a Frank Miller arc versus that a Keaton arc represents like a Neil Adams take. That is the layers we would have, but I think the average person can still discern their different Batmen. Like I just think that if we play, new colors. I think if we play too dumb, then we are just coddling stupidity being acceptable, and that's never acceptable. Like people are already too dumb.
Hold on real quick. I know we got to go to the next question. My only counter to that is what you just implied was something within the same movie. And we're like, hey, we're time traveling, or Deadpool and Wolverine. Hey, we're jumping dimensions versus, hey, this is a Batman movie over here. But wait, I thought Batman was Robert Pattinson. Why? You know what I'm saying? That's my only caveat.
All right.
Yeah.
Here is the next one. Shay Markel. Winston, my heart broke when I learned that Coy genuinely hates the original Crow. Coy thinks that the soundtrack is terrible. Explain why you don't like fun, Coy.
Okay, so on a live stream I did with Rejects, I said about the Crow, this year's Crow wasn't blah, blah, blah. And then the entire chat thought I was talking about the greatest Crow, like one of the greatest movies. So for the entire 2.5 hour live stream up until the last question, I literally made fun of one of my favorite movies of all time. making people think I hated the Crow. And the amount of people that must have tagged in and out that I've ruined their opinion of me forever was worth it for the joke. But no, I love the Crow dearly. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Shay said that he sent that in on Monday, and we didn't pick up on it. I didn't know the bit until the next day. But so he's like, Coy hates it. I go, is that true? I don't remember Coy hating that movie. I thought Coy loved that movie. And then there you go.
2.5 hours. I picked apart the soundtrack, which I love. The irony was I was listening to the soundtrack the day before, just casually. I love the Crow.
That's hysterical. Ian Davis. I have a 2-year-old daughter. Oh, it's amazing. She's all about Sleeping Beauty, Moana, and Beauty and the Beast right now. Advice from all three of you. What would you recommend as one of the first comic book things that I introduced her to? Super Pets. Super Pets.
That's a great one.
Super Pets is a great one.
That's a good one.
Super Pets is a great one.
Also, there's DC's Supergirl's cartoon. I can't remember the exact title of it, but it is kind of stylized as a younger, and it's all it's like Wonder Woman and Batgirl and Supergirl all working together to solve mysteries. I think that would be great as far as the age range you're talking about too.
I think Super Pets is probably the best for that young. I think when they're 8 or 9, Teen Titans Go is a delight. It's a little the comedy's a little edgier for preteens. But yeah, Super Pets I feel like is perfect, and it's so fresh and new, and they'll recognize the voices.
Oh, the first Joker. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think that's the movie.
Shay also says, Winston, I just saw the cool acting reel that you posted a few years ago. You really seem like you enjoy it. I wish you the best for your acting career. It's very nice.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
There's a great. I've seen that reel also. What's that Nickelodeon show? You do great dance. It's a great dance when you're coming through the door.
the City to the Max on Disney.
Great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah.
Artem Shakranyan, will Gunn's DCU be considered a success only if Superman does really well, or does he need 2 or 3 movies to hit big? I think it keeps it going and gets the hype continued if the first one hits. Everything's riding on that first movie to go, because if it's great, then everybody goes, oh, what do you got next? If it stinks, now what are you gonna do?
More sports, man. I think you're working on a lot of thin ice, but it's the rookie quarterback comes in. If they come in and the first game or two is trash, they're like, he sucks, he's a bust, get him out of here. But if he comes in and it's like, whoa, he threw for 90% and 400 yards. Can he do it again? He did it again. Oh, we got one. It's the same thing.
Who's this Tom Brady kid? Yeah.
I think it's going to be just an option for us to finally have validity in us defending it. The people that hate it, they're always going to hate it. I think that there's a lot of people that want James Gunn to fail, and there's a lot of the certain Snyder fans that are just angry. I think they'll still be angry, and that won't change. But I think the people that are neutral, and I think the people that are curious will finally have something to stand on. But I think that little vocal minority is going to be loud forever.
I agree. All right, so next question here, and this is from Matt W. First time writing in. Thank you so much, Matt. Do you think we'll see a Flash project in the DCU Chapter 1? If so, which iteration? I don't think we're going to see it in the first chapter, but I do think we'll see it. And I think one of the reasons, talking about the Muschietti side of it all, I think that they're going to want that to subside a little bit. They're going to want that to go, and you don't need it right now. You can introduce them down the line, and if it is a success, going off that previous question, that you have more and more to debut down the line. So here comes, there's a cool tease from The Flash. And you can do that in 5 years from now. You don't need to do it now. So I think it won't happen yet. But I don't know, Winston, what do you think?
You got to wait. I think if you learned anything from Spider-Man and this idea of rapid recasting and jumping back into it, sometimes it works in your favor, sometimes it doesn't. I think the reason that Holland worked, other than him being a fantastic actor, is because you plopped him in the MCU. If you hadn't put him into the MCU and kind of given that room to breathe like that, so we could get those great moments in Civil War and Avengers, whether or not that would have been nearly as successful is a serious question mark. So I think you need time to let that breathe, and then you can come back.
I also think they're going to go with Wally West. One, because Wally West is a fantastic character that we haven't seen get his time to shine. But two, you can also have Barry Allen be an older mentor type character, much like they're doing with Hal Jordan and what we're doing with Jon Stewart. You can make it a legacy choice, and I think that'll help put a Band-Aid on that wound while giving us new Flash.
You're also pointing back to that animated series, which it seems like you would be doing that on the regular, because if you're Jon Stewart is your main Lantern, Barry Allen is your main, Wally West is your main Flash, you know what I'm saying? It sounds like you're doing that,
which is a great DNA to pull from. What a great map.
You guys got about 49 questions to go before you beat stuff. It's 50 or 54 right now. Okay, so Ian Davis, Kristian, I look up to you as a dad. Keep killing it, man. Thank you, man. That's really awesome. I really appreciate that. Okay, next one. This is from Ricardo Kulis, who says, just an idea. Allowing Coy a 5 to 10 minute section on the current week's comics. I love that content on his channel. Well, that's the whole point. He does that on his channel. So I don't want him to do it on my channel because then it kind of takes away. Because if he starts covering the same stuff here, or he doesn't, I'm gonna be like, why did you cover that? Because I covered it on my channel. So that's his thing. He should do it on his channel. But what we used to do the Boom Studios. I'd love to get Boom back to do that. That would be great. But yeah, but Coy, you've got that going on your channel, right?
Yeah, I do try to make it so I do like reactions at Rejects, and I cover the breaking stuff here, and then I do the stuff that's like very comic centric, and then the big stories everywhere because it's big enough. But I do kind of like the separation of church and state for the different stuff because we do very different content here, and here is where I get to have the conversations that feel like a round table. I am very narcissistic and selfish with my comics, where I like to just monologue.
Yeah, fair enough. Darth Vader's burnt asshole. Hellboy, The Crooked Man is awesome. It's being dumped on VOD in the States, and it's a travesty. It was made for 20 mil. That's a lot. Reminds me a lot of Dread. Just a day in the life of that character. Highly recommend it. Have you guys heard anything about this one besides from our buddy Darth Vader's burnt a-hole?
I hosted this panel at San Diego Comic-Con. I like, this was my baby.
Did you see it?
I've seen half because it was not yet done, or it was done, but they wanted to change a few things in the third act. Everything I saw, I really dug. 20 million for a movie like this is pennies on the dollar, and they used every penny, in my opinion. It's this really cool, like, Appalachian old myth from the deep south. Like, it feels like that stank on it, which I dig, because I my family's in West Virginia area, so the myths of that world are not talked about a lot, and I thought it was dope, but I couldn't have been more biased. Like, I love Hellboy, it's where I'm from, kind of, and I hosted it, so I'm really biased, but I dug what I saw.
James Kirby, first time posting. Thank you to everybody who's been posting in general, for the long time viewers, from the new people. We got a bunch of new people who have been asking questions. Say thank you so much. First time posting. Thank you, James. Been watching since the AMC days. Love you guys. I appreciate the passion and knowledge that you guys bring to the field. Very nice comment. See, Coy, when you think the internet stinks, you look at a comment like that from James.
I thank you, James. It's been a loud internet this week.
It has. Harry Castaros. Campia said on his show yesterday that he spoke to someone at WB, and they are looking at expanding the Reeves Batman universe with the Gotham universe of projects running concurrent to the DCU. Also believe that conversation is happening. But I do. I 100%.
I just love like the idea of a bathroom at each floor.
For sure.
Like, I'm just picturing like Burbank, the skyscraper. There's like 6th floor, Batman's over. 5th floor, more Batman.
1000%, dude. That kind of stuff happened all of the time there. Like you'd have different people going, this is what we should do. Let's plan this out. Let's have this. But if, at the time, it's Jeff Robinoff, but if Robinoff doesn't like it and Robinoff tells Joel that he's going to do this and doesn't want to, hold on a second. So if Robinoff and Joel are not seeing eye to eye, the whole thing comes down. But then you have like somebody else, a whole other project who's mapping out all this stuff. I hope it's the opposite, because the Penguin is awesome. It's awesome.
And that's why James Gunn is over here. Like, DC Studios is separate. It's in another building. It's not like, that's why I have full faith, because there aren't too many cooks in the kitchen with the bottom line on, like, stocks over creativity is not the move.
Bro, I am so imagining a PA talking to a janitor in one bathroom, an accountant talking to the valet guy in the garage, and then ultimately the execs are in their sauna talking about, hey man, you see my new yacht? That shit fire. Like, they don't actually.
Yeah. So we had but I can see all that stuff happening. I can absolutely see all that stuff happening. Very curious to see what actually goes down. I happen to feel that they would be idiots not to continue on that universe for sure.
It's DC's Daredevil. Like, when Daredevil went away, the entire Marvel universe rebelled. It came back. He came back differently. Then they reshot to come back the same. The Penguin just launched it on TV. They'd be so short-sighted to be like, hey, this is working. Let's kill it.
Swan King. Speaking of rumors, is the Deathstroke and Bane team-up film a legit thing? Have you heard this?
There was a rumor that came out that lasted approximately 36 hours. That was a Deathstroke Bane movie. And then at the end of the 36-hour window, it was revealed that was a piece of the thing that I think would just be like a Batman movie that might feature those two characters. But the rumor got really big because people were like, oh, a team-up movie. But it was very tenuous. And I think by the end, the language was like, oh, they're trying to get those two characters involved. So I think they might be part of the Batman universe that's coming, but I don't think they're like in a solo thing.
Yeah. Someone had asked me, by the way, because we didn't really touch on Agatha too much this week. I missed it last week because my little one had a freaking 103, 104 fever through.
Ooh, yeah,
now she is, but she still has a little bit of a fever, but she's had it for like 5 days. So Sadie obviously has been nowhere near the studio. So I was like, I could do it by myself, but I'm just going to watch episode 5 and 6 with her next week and put it on the channel.
Oh,
yeah, so
and it's a short episode, so you guys can do like a thing.
That's what I heard. We're going to do 5 and 6.
Oh, yeah. God, I love that show.
Yeah, okay. Harry Katasaros, as long as the movies make money, they're not going to stop making them. You know what's better than $1 billion Batman franchise? $2 billion Batman at the same time. I agree with that, but, like I said, I have heard conversations from executives that they don't make a lot of sense. So you can see it.
I'll tell you what's probably doing it for them specifically. It's the fact that people have casually been throwing around, Madam Web is in the MCU. And not being able to truly differentiate between Marvel being done by Sony versus Marvel being done by Marvel Studios and Disney. I don't. That is where I think these execs are having a little bit of a panic attack.
Yeah, agreed. And then Joe Hendo TV. First, they don't finish the Snyderverse properly. Now they supposedly want to cancel the Batman Part 3. F Warner Brothers. Well, look, like I said, this could be, as we were talking about the bathroom conversation, this could be two high-level executives talking about it, and the rest of them going, well, no, we probably shouldn't do that because of this. And then Gunn and Safran come in and say no, and then they go, all right, maybe that we were mid push of a poop when we did that, so we won't do that anymore. So we'll see. I wouldn't go so far to say F everybody over there too, because you don't know how many people want it and how many people don't. Heidi Hakoop, first contribution to the show. Just thank you again, Hitty. Thank you, Hitty. Just wanted to say that I really enjoy all these live streams that you guys have been doing. I'm very excited about them because I had hesitations about going live for a while. And then Roka was the one that I started doing live with on Mondays. I had kind of floated the idea to Winston and Coy last year. And then we decided that we were going to go 5 days. And we have been. And the algorithm is a thing that if you train it enough, it starts where at one point we were doing 150, 200 people live. Today we had over 1,200 people watching live. People have been watching the shows and people have been getting active. We're learning. I'm meeting a lot more of you because of it. So, Hitty, thank you so much, and I really appreciate that. And I'm happy to hear from all of you guys. Currently at 57 right now, guys. 57. All right. Chris Granier. Kevin Smith fans rejoice. Dogma has been set free from the Weinsteins and coming to streaming and Blu-ray release. Oh, that's right. For a long time, it wasn't on Blu-ray, right, Coy?
Yeah, it was owned by Harvey Weinstein, not the Weinstein Company. So Kevin refused to do anything with it because he didn't want to get that minimal money. Yeah. He also donated a ton of money that he had made off it since Weinstein to Women in Film. And Kevin's an angel, man.
Yeah, he is. Have you talked to him in a bit?
Yeah, I think this is public, but Dogma 2.
Dogma 2 or is it
Dogma 2 because he's got the rights back, dude.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Oh, man.
Is Ben and Matt gonna be in it? Really? Oh, that's awesome,
dude. I think this is public.
It is now. It is now.
It is. Yeah. I'm like, well, we're live. There's like also the idea of bringing in Sarah Michelle Gellar for the dearly departed in Mallrats because we lost.
Right. Oh, that I heard. Mallrats. So I heard that in Mallrats in that same article. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, basically, he's been trying to cook up those two simultaneously and see which gets the bite first. So I think that's public because of that.
Okay.
But since we lost Shannon Doherty, I know that they've been trying to figure out what's happening in Mallrats. But I think Dogma happened in the same month, so I think Dogma 2 might go a little faster because everyone's talking about this release, and I'm so excited.
Makes sense. Derek, great. I'm not ruling anything out. Honestly, I do really know what kind of control Gunn and Safran have. We don't. I do or I don't. I don't really know. I'm not sure. We don't know how long that leash is, and what I have seen is Zoloft being very quick to cut losses if necessary. Yes, but I'm telling you, I would feel James Gunn has been in this for long enough to know going into his negotiation, here's what I want, and you got to leave me alone till at least I get 1 or 2 movies under my belt. You got to leave me alone and let me do my thing. Otherwise, this is not going to work. That's what I would ask for, and I haven't done shit.
He wouldn't sign paperwork while he was killing Batgirl without a clause saying you don't get to kill my Batgirl.
Right.
On top of the fact that when you're coming in like this kind of head coach or GM, you put that in your stuff. If you're a brand new person, you don't get to make those demands. But when you're doing what you did and they're courting you all that money and you did the Suicide Squad and they go, dude, you know what you're doing. Nah, that's definitely in his thing. Leave me alone until I get a couple like
wins.
Pieces.
Yeah. Joey Pedras. might have discussed it before, but should Batman be a face? Affleck was too much of a face for Bats, in my opinion. I mean, he's a good guy. He can when he does his thing, he's a little darker and has more of a little vigilante thing, but he's a good guy. So yeah, he should absolutely be a face.
Do we mean face in the wrestling sense or the celebrity sense?
Baby face.
Okay, so I think Batman is pretty dark. I mean, Ben Affleck to quote Kevin Smith, he always walked around like that prick from Fashionable Mail. Like he's got an aura of kind of I thought
swagger. He's got swagger.
Yeah.
Also, for the most part, it's always Bruce is the face because it's a facade,
right?
And then Batman is an asshole, which is
exactly.
Whether it's like I already did the plan, or it's just like I will beat you. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Josh Needle. As much as I hate siding with the studio execs, I'm with them on the Andy Muschietti thing. The only good movie he's done is the first It. I didn't like It 2, Mama, or The Flash. Batman can do better. Didn't love The Flash. I think there's moments of The Flash I really liked. And I'm telling you, there's moments of that. I like that movie more than most people. But I will say the ending is terrible. The beginning is terrible. The stupid, the baby scene is awful. But there's some really good emotional moments on it. And that's the way that Andy Muschietti directs it, the way he's done some stuff with it. I agree that It 2 is, I don't think it's terrible, but it's not as good as the first. But I also wonder if that's the source material, because the old school, I remember back into that TV movie, the first half was terrifying and the second half stunk. So I was wondering if that's just Stephen King's story, that the first half is just better. It's better when they're kids and they were adults. But I don't know. I just, as I said before, I think James Gunn is as good with finding people to bring the vision across as he is casting, as Coy mentioned. But I don't know if you guys want to add anything else to that.
I think there's about 40 minutes of Flash that really show the heart of what Muschietti can bring. The stuff with the mom is really painful and wonderful. There is some great stuff in there. It's not overall going to land. I need better than that for Batman, but his love of Batman is clear. And I was really impressed at his directing style, blending Burton and Snyder and his own. Like that movie felt like a great mashup. And then if you add It Chapter 1 to that, and his love for the character, I'm at least going to give it a chance. But I understand people being concerned. And I also can't shake my bias. I really like the dude, and I like how passionate he is for everything he's making.
That to me is the only reason why overhyping something is potentially a problem, especially in this day and age, because a lot of times, like Eminem said, you only get one shot, or you get a chance, or you can let it slip. Like that's why people are acting that way. But I think we should give him a shot.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they're going to collaborate together. It's another reason why you give him a shot, because he knows that he's on. People are watching, and I think he's going.
He's also developing it himself if he's doing it, as opposed to 10 years of the Flash. I mean, Ezra Miller got cast as the Flash a decade before he played, and that script went through, and like it had 5 directors that we publicly know of.
Bro, if M. Night Shyamalan has been able to get multiple chances where I did the hit the one time and then. Give my boy a chance, man. Come on.
Yeah. Chris Granier. Predictions for the trailers. Superman either during Cowboys Thanksgiving game or Super Bowl. Also, Fantastic Four ready for Super Bowl. What other trailers you think for Super Bowl? Fantastic Four for Super Bowl. I don't know, because you got Captain America and Thunderbolts coming out. So that early?
No, you're not going to get Captain America, because if I'm not mistaken, it comes out. You might get a final TV something, but it comes out the week or the week after the Super Bowl. So I don't think you're going to have a massive reveal there. I think you get a secondary Thunderbolts trailer, NBA Christmas, and I think you do probably get your first Fantastic Four Super Bowl, actually.
Coy?
I think Fantastic Four is going to belong to Superman and FF. I think Super Bowl is going to be. I mean, I think the Super Bowl itself is going to be huge this year because of Kendrick, but I also think that it's going to be all of these studios leveraging hey, this is our comeback summer. 2025 is what this whole town is counting on. So I feel like they're really going to be doubling down.
It's amazing how many things are coming out. 64 questions, guys. 64. Good showing here today on Capes and Cows. John Darius. Hey, everyone. Hope you're well. Question. What if the mystery in Lanterns is the White Martians? A lead up to Martian Manhunter, possibly? I like that Martian Manhunter stuff they did in the Zack Snyder cut.
That'd be cool. The White Martians. I don't know why I didn't piece it together, Coy, but the Justice League animated series, that is 1,000% the White Martians by another name. I don't know how I missed that, but that is 1,000% the White Martians.
And you were just talking about how that show looks to be a decent map for this first era. So that's not a bad idea. Like, that'd be a cool mystery, and that would allow it to be Earthbound, then go cosmic, which is what I think they should do. I like that.
It'd be on some body snatcher stuff like the Thing, essentially. Which I don't know. Have you seen the Thing yet,
Yeah,
Kristian?
like 2 years ago.
Okay.
Cool.
And like the faculty for us youths.
Yeah. Jesse Escamilla. I personally really want Jensen Ackles as the Bat, but as more time passes, I'm not mad at Jake Gyllenhaal at Batman. Very intrigued. I don't
He's
love
been Batman like 4. He's almost been
Batman
the last
and
3
Spider-Man
Batman.
and Spider-Man. And
Spider-Man.
I love Gyllenhaal as an actor. He's one of my favorites right now. I don't like him as Batman at all. He's too famous. Someone brought up yesterday, because I like Jensen Ackles a lot. That was my pick. Somebody said it yesterday, and I'm really on board with it. And not that he's more famous than Jensen Ackles, but he's making a comeback. Josh Hartnett to me would be great.
I would prefer. I agree, but I at the same time, I know it's a more obscure character. Probably not gonna get it for a while. I would actually put Josh Hartnett as Black Cat. To be honest with you, like the kind of, especially after seeing him in Trap, I just that kind of grizzled, I'm an asshole. Like, I think he would kill it.
I think Hartnett was almost Superman with a World's Finest movie. I think
really?
Jude Law and
Okay.
like back in before he left town for those like 10 years. I think in the Hollywood Homicide era, he read for either Batman or Superman. I don't remember which, but that'd be interesting to do that kind of comeback role. I love the idea of Hartnett.
Yeah, I love that.
I like Ackles. I like Milo Ventimiglia.
Really?
There's a lot of like
Batman?
Milo?
Yeah, man. I think he's got a darkness in him that we haven't seen yet.
He's a good actor. I don't see it. I think he's too little.
I do too. I actually would prefer him as like maybe like a Joker or like a Riddler or something like that. I don't know. I would love to see him as a villain. Like he's got
that's the darkness I was talking about. Yeah, I just want to see that dude blow up. And who's that pretty dude that played Jigsaw we talked about before? He's so handsome. The dude from Prince Caspian.
Ben Barnes.
Ben Barnes is still in my short
Ben Barnes
list,
is good
even
too.
when I don't remember his name.
Yeah. Harry Casaros. I have a 36-year-old friend who has an 18-year-old son. Batman doesn't need to be middle-aged. It's believable that Bruce and Talia had an affair when he first started training with the League at 20 years old. I agree. He doesn't have to be. It's just a matter of like, what story are you telling? But I don't think anybody would say, "Oh man, they made him 30. This stinks. Oh man, they made him 45. This stinks." It's like, what story are you telling? That's really what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, I kind of want him and Bruce. I want Bruce and Clark to be the same age, because I think there's also an interesting dynamic when Bruce starts to age, but Clark with his Kryptonian DNA isn't. So it's not only are you super powered, but my body is slowing down. I think that's a little more of an interesting dynamic to see. But I don't know. That's just me.
Buster.
But yeah, my parents were when they were 36, I was 20. So like that's easy. Like my parents were kids, so I buy into that.
And so Buster Barnes follows this up and says, "Glad the middle-aged rumor got debunked. Like I said yesterday, my fan casting is Brendan Sklenarf, but we'll see what happens at a lot of good options." So at first I was like, well, who's that? And then I looked it up yesterday because when he brought this up, I love 1923. I love that show. And he was also in that Blake Lively movie. He is perfect. He's perfect. He's perfect. This guy's great. I would like to see him because it would make my prediction come true. Because when I saw this with my wife, I said, this guy's a movie star. I said, this guy's an absolute movie star. He's got tremendous talent. Oh, speaking of tremendous talent, and I'm not going to remember his name because I didn't even look it up. But what I'll tell you is that I was watching Saturday Night Live with my daughter and my wife last night. There is the sketch wasn't necessarily that funny, but there is a character. There's a new actor on there, and I think he's been on there. It might be his second season. Not sure.
I watched a lot, so I can help you.
Okay, so did you watch this past episode?
I didn't, but if you can describe the guy, I can probably.
I can just tell you the sketch he was in, and if you didn't see it, you're not going to help me out. But he was he's kind of a smaller guy, but he was in this sketch, and he played like a Latino host. And
Marcelo Hernandez, probably.
Is that his name? Let me see. Marcelo Hernandez. Let me see if that's what we're talking about before I talk about him. Is that him? I don't know if that's him. It might be him. I think that's him. That's him. Yeah. he's awesome.
He's fantastic.
He is one. Let me tell you, I don't even know his name, and I've seen him in 2 or 3 things. This guy is, to me, one of the best performers in Saturday Night Live that I have seen in 20 to 30 years, and I'll tell you why. Because like I said, I just saw him. I've seen him maybe twice. The level of commitment that he has in his characters that I've seen so far reminded me of Phil Hartman. It reminded me of like someone. There was another guy that they had on there that was terrible, and he was like they did this this pool thing, and the guy was like reading off the cue cards. It was awful. But this guy was so locked in, and I saw him do some other thing. I can't remember who he was with. It was with Jason Momoa. I think he did a sketch too, a doorman or something else too.
Yeah.
This guy is what Saturday Night Live is all about. I couldn't believe. I just saw. He's fantastic.
If you like him, go and watch. There is a character that Pedro Pascal has done multiple times now where he is Marcelo's mother.
Okay.
And so he'll bring home like a white girl, and the mother will just be like speaking in Spanish and talking trash the whole time. Bad Bunny came in as his auntie at one point. It is hysterical. It's so a hysterical series of sketches.
The kid is really, really good. I was very impressed. My wife was like, "Who is this guy? He's incredible."
Have you guys seen the Saturday Night movie yet? It's amazing.
No, I didn't tell you my whole thing. What happened with that stupid thing? Not the movie. It's not the movie's fault. I took 87 different freaking trains, and I never even made it. I got to a place because I thought it was downtown. I thought it was uptown. It was downtown. And by the time I got there, it was 45 minutes late. I went and I got 2 beers and nachos somewhere else.
What a New York noob.
100%. No, yeah. Well, for that one, it was Pradinitsky. But now now I know exactly where to go for that theater. I'll tell you that. Pradinitsky, Art the Clown versus Joker this weekend. My money's on Terrifier making more. I agree. I think that Terrifier movie is going to make more money than Joker. I think people are done with that movie. They're over. It's going to have a huge. It's going to be one of the biggest bombs in recent history.
Ooh,
and on the other side, Terrifier was like a tiny indie 2 movies ago. It's not my genre. I won't see it because I don't need that imagery, but I love that movie's story is like pure indie to full blockbuster in 3 movies. I'm so happy for it.
Yeah. I don't want to ever see it, but good for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Swan King. Also, Kristian, I was genuinely shocked that you were the only one on the panel who's ever seen Arcane. I think Winston's seen episode 1 now.
I have. Fantastic.
I told you.
I just need time because there's a project that Kristian and I are working on right now that I have to watch a lot of other stuff on top of the stuff I'm doing. So I'll get back to it, but it is fantastic.
Coy,
on the list.
I know that you're not an animation guy per se, but I guarantee you're gonna love this. I'm gonna guarantee it. Watch it before the new season comes out.
When's the new season?
November. It's coming up right around the corner. You got to see it. It's you. Once you watch the first 2 or 3 episodes, you'll binge the rest of it. It's really, really good. Okay. Kill a Cam. Been listening for 10 years. Much love from Funky Town. Hey man, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. I'm always humbled by when we see all those kind of long-term listeners who've been watching for like 10 years and more. It's like it's pretty awesome. And then following it, Roxy's not here. So fellas, what's your worst date? I think I've told this one before, but when I was in college, I remember there was this girl was like next level beautiful. I mean, just like she was this girl that I was like, okay, I would be mad at myself if I don't ask this person out. And I did. And she said yes. I was like, that's amazing. So I took her out and I'm so pumped and I walk up the stairs to go get her. And I go, what the hell is that smell? And I looked down and I stepped in the biggest pile of dog shit going up to pick her up. And I turned as red as Coy's shirt, and I'm just kicking the side of the thing. And I go down, I roll back to my car, I roll the windows down. I'm kicking everything. I'm trying to find stuff. I had there was a hose that was kind of, and I'm like stomping it. It was dreadful. And the date I don't think that there was anything any repercussions from that. The date didn't go well. Well, we went out one other time after that, but nothing came from it afterwards. But it sucked.
One of my actual worst date, I don't think I can say on this show. Oh. but a runner-up, a girl I met on one of the dating apps. I can't remember which one. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea, but I invited her over the first time instead of going somewhere public, and she wouldn't leave. Like she straight up, it was like 2:30 in the morning. We didn't even do anything. She just would not go. And so eventually I'm like, you need to get out of my house. I have to be at work in like 6 hours. And she's like, oh, I live so far. I don't really want to. I was like, I don't know you. I'll call you an Uber and we can figure out how to get your car back. You need to get out of my house. And she wouldn't go until eventually about 3 a.m. she did.
Dude, she was paratrooping, finding a place to sleep.
Perfect.
Not the squatter, bro. I was terrified.
Coys engaged. Just want to tell bad. Oh, you do want to tell a bad one?
I got a brief one. Just the date went well, and like the what happened was I dropped her off to go park, so she got into the restaurant before me. So the waiter came over, she put her card down, and then I didn't realize. So when we go to check out, she had already like put in. So I was like, hey, make sure like I want to Venmo you, like I'll cover what. Like I made it clear I wanted to pay. And then over the course of 2 days, I went to go to a con, and there's no service at cons a lot of the time because it's like 100,000 people. There's no service. And she had called like 15 times. I didn't even have her number, so I wasn't answering. So then I didn't have service for the second half of this chaotic. And she was like, you never sent me blah, 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 blah. Yes, this is a threat. And I was like, I didn't have your number. We didn't exchange. How would I have Venmoed you? And she like kind of like lost her mind over what was $47. And it was very alarming to be threatened while at a con, while like doing interviews by someone who had met once, and to literally have a voicemail of someone screaming maniacally saying, yes, this is a threat.
She never called back, and we found out because Derek Johnson paid her to go away. Said
it worked. It was terrifying. So yeah, it was more of the after effects. That was I now luckily my next date was my first date with my fiance. Never had to date again.
That's great. Z-Rod, y'all think anyone in Penguin will be in Batman 2? Maybe. Yeah, I hope Kristen Milioti, but I don't know where they're going to go with that whole storyline. We'll see. But Penguin, yeah. Oh, Penguin, definitely. Artem Shakaranyan, why DC and Marvel can have separate universes, but Star Wars can't? You mean like Elseworld stuff? Is that I think that's kind of what he means. Wilson.
I assume, yeah.
Wilson, your camera went out. But I think that what they need to do is put it. They just need to do, I think, different, just a different time period, like farther away from the regular time period. You know,
it's a whole galaxy far away. Do more than that. Just the Skywalkers.
Yeah. Winston, you getting your camera back?
Trying to fix it.
Okay. All right. Tyson's Chicken Nuggets. Sup, guys? There you go. Yep. Deadline is reporting that Terrifier 3, which is the high 90s on Rotten Tomatoes, might knock Joker 2 out of the top spot this weekend. Oof. Thoughts? Yeah, just because I think there was enough. A lot of times what will happen is an audience will support it and the critics won't like it, but the audience supports it, or vice versa. This is the one of the few times you see them really both on the same page. And it's like, nobody wants to, and then plus all the reports that are coming out about how it is just a problem. Yeah.
I hope Wild Robot gets a boost too. I think if Terrifier and Wild Robot get a little juice.
Yeah. Derek the Great. I don't think we should attribute the Penguin and Superman documentary success to Gunn and Safran. These are both not DCU projects and were greenlit before Joker sequel. I'll give them all the credit for things under DCU banner. Well, I think before you say that, I wonder what you guys think. That you'd have to probably hear from Matt Reeves, because Matt Reeves seemed to have taken notes as where Todd Phillips didn't.
I agree. I also think that timeline lines up that I think they filmed this within the last 2 years, and I think that it was about a year and a half ago, or maybe just a year, but like in the time it was filming, Gunn was involved. I don't think he should be like, praised as much as Matt Reeves or anyone, but I do think there was some involvement. Clearly,
if what you're saying, Coy, that they want to continue working with each other, if Campius report is that they want to build out this whole thing together, then clearly...
And dynamic duo, the two of them are producing. It'd be weird if he was taking credit and then being like, we're going to work together. It's just, It seems like a bad relationship. I think they have a good relationship.
Space Jesus, sorry if I missed it, but did you already talk about the screenings for Captain America 4? We did, but you might have sent that in before we started talking about them, because when one of the super chats came in, we did. So bummer if it's true. Derek, Winston, I'm glad you brought it up about the colorism. I disagree with the outrage, but I understand the reasoning involved in how we as a people have been lightened or shaded differently in cinema and media for years.
Yeah, like I said,
your mic's out.
Just to the side. Okay. My fault. Yeah, I will go more in depth on Blurred Breakdown because it's a longer conversation. But yes, it is something that needs to, at the very least, be acknowledged. I think at the bare minimum that people need to understand why the conversation is coming up in the first place.
What do you guys think about this? Chris Grenier says Jeremy Irons as Sinestro or Martian Manhunter. Is he a little too old?
It feels a little too old.
Yeah,
he's got to be what, 70?
In the range. He's in the range. He's playing in the neighborhood. Yeah, so I'd
be cool with him a voice of stuff, but I think physically let the man rest.
Yeah, I agree. Jay Mobile, we'd get it, but if there's two separate rogue galleries in Gotham's, don't we think this could be confusing for many normies, especially if there's different versions of the same villains? Yeah, I think that is the concern with those executives.
I don't think that James Gunn is going to be doing any of the street level villains because his Batman's going to be so fantastical. So you won't see a Clayface in one universe and in the other. Like I think it's going to be, fantastical on one side, normal street level on the other. So I wasn't too worried about that. I think, the Batman thing, I've not been a normie ever. So I can't speak to what normal people think. Like, I'm odd.
JoeHen.tv, Green Lantern Show is the one DC project I'm interested in right now. Winston, is that one of your top ones you'd say out of the ones that are announced?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would probably say for me, that's number 2. Honestly, I think even though I'm not a huge Superman fan, I think just by the nature of everything that we've learned about it so far and what it means for DC going forward, that's my number 1, just to see how is this all going to play out. But Lanterns would actually be number 2 for me.
I don't know what this means. Aaron, the creative. It's wild. Jon Stewart got Aunt Viv before he ever came on screen. I know that she was. I know she was recast. But
so that was the thing. So Aunt Viv in the
Jon
first
Stewart
2
wasn't
seasons.
Recast.
Well, no, but Aunt Viv got recast much whiter, a lighter skin,
light-skinned actress. So it was you had dark-skinned Aunt Viv and light-skinned Aunt Viv.
I see.
Everybody,
okay, genuine. Yeah. All right. Think Pierre will do a great job.
It's all terrifying to even have spoken of on camera. I don't know what to do.
Well, his second half makes more sense here than to me. I think Pierre will do a great job. Just wish for more brown skin representation. Okay, that's what he said. But I mean, if the guy's a great actor though too, isn't that if he fits the role, he fits the role.
It's literally why it's a complicated conversation to have.
Yeah, agreed. Hidi Hiku, do you think they will add different intros to Batman 2 and Brave and the Bold? Elseworlds intro and DC intro and DCU intro that they maybe debut as Superman like MCU has. I think that's smart.
I think it'll be a label like how Marvel has taken on Marvel Studios, Marvel Television, Marvel. I think there'll be the DC logo unifying everything. The DC Studios logo is in front of Superman, a Christopher Reeves story, the Christopher Reeves story. And then I think kind of like, we have Kristian Harloff, Capes and Cowls. I think it'll be like a designation of arc and then show. And I think that's smart for people.
Spidey sense screaming some stuff about Gina. Derek Johnson, I would 100% agree with Coy, but I can't attribute all that to future success in DCU. Look at Filoni and Lucasfilm's majority loved his past success in projects, and look at where Star Wars is now. Let's see. I want 100% agree, but I can't attribute that to future success. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The thing is, though, I think the difference with Filoni and Gunn is that Gunn has a lot of experience, not only with films and not only with connecting this Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's also part of a dynamic in Marvel that was really moving and putting together a cohesive storyline with executives that knew what they were doing. Filoni is in a position where he's got this idea of what Lucas always wanted for Star Wars, so he knows better than everybody else. And it's like that's never going to work. And he's got executives over there that just aren't helping. So that's why I think it's completely different. Okay, so we got now Buster Barnes. Some say the DCU has no direction, but we don't even have a release order yet. The 10 projects Gunn announced in his slate aren't even all the first 10.
Yeah, the dynamic duo got added that wasn't in the slate. He said what he announced was like half. He didn't even say a number. And also we only have dates for Superman and Supergirl, and Creature Commandos.
Right.
This year, Creature Commandos in December, Superman July, Supergirl the following June or July, I forget which. That's all the dates we have. So I think it's really short-sighted to say anything's in chaos until something exists.
True, I understand. Now, Tom talks films. I understand it could be a stretch, but do you think Joker 2 would somehow be better if it was tied to Matt Reeves' Batman universe? Hard because of the time period, right, guys?
He's a baby. He's 10 years old in the first one. The whole point is that he's not in the Batman universe. That's why, like, Harvey, everybody that's like, oh, the Joker's at the end with the cut. Harvey Dent's in the movie. Does he get two-faced twice? The entire purpose of those films.
I mean, I don't know, man. The courthouse done blew up and everything. And you remember, or maybe you guys didn't see this, Christopher Nolan was like, hey, we kind of want to make him, you're saying, he's like, don't you effing dare. And then the fact that he was no longer with Warner Brothers when this was going forward, Todd was like, I'm just going to do it. Yeah.
So, but Two-Face is right. The whole point of that movie is that Todd Phillips wanted to show that no one cares about Arthur Fleck unless he's sensationalized, like the sensationalization of violence. I didn't like the movie. I thought the ending was genius, but it's only pissing off the people that like I am watching like lose their minds. That's interesting. Like I love that the joke's on us. Like that's the ultimate Joker move. But that's a longer conversation.
Yeah, Blake Gilbert. I rewatched Batman Forever, and I did see Joker too. Batman Forever is a better movie. Just saying.
It is.
It's a more fun movie. I mean, more enjoyable, I would say for sure. Gala Ghost, what's up, buddy? Hello from Boston. Question: with family films doing well, do you think WB is wishing they had a family film that didn't cost $200 million, tested well, starring a coyote to release this fall? Cheers, fellas. Yeah, I don't know why. I still don't understand. I mean, I guess tax breaks and all that stuff, which is stupid, but like, I don't understand why they didn't give that thing a shot.
I think Wild Robot potentially overpowering Joker.
Yeah.
Is such an ironic because Wild Robot's incredible. I think that's a really good point.
Derek Johnson, Derek the Great, James Bond, Doctor, who are these characters who have been established staying in the same character with different actors? The issue people have right now with MCU are confused by MV and the Flash movie. 3 different Batman, same movie. Did you guys get that one?
MV.
James Bond, Doctor Who. These are characters who have been established as staying the same character with different actors.
Right.
Okay. So the issue people have right now with MCU, confused by MV. I don't know what MV.
MV.
And the Flash movie. 3 different Batman and same movie.
But again, I don't think anybody was confused in the Flash movie. Again, time travel. We're establishing these different things have affected how people look or act in these various things. So that one I don't necessarily see. MV, I'm still trying to figure out what they mean by that. I think the other
multiverse they said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got
multiverse.
It.
Oh, okay.
But I think the difference is too, we're not talking about a situation where it's like, hey yo, in this movie, this Batman and this Batman are in different places. We're literally talking about separate movies that don't talk to each other and you putting out in the world and Batman in his newest adventure. Well, wait a minute. Didn't Batman just have an adventure? That is the confusion we're talking about.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be an acknowledgement of the two within universe, and that would throw people off.
Aaron the Creative says, which one happens first? Blade gets recast or Spider-Man 4 release date is announced? First, Spider-Man 4 is announced. Definitely. You guys disagree with that?
Spider-Man 4, what?
The release date
is announced or Blade gets recast. What comes first? Coy's thinking about it.
Spider-Man 4 announcement first.
Yeah, Coy's thinking about it.
I really like the Blade thing is so interesting because they've had so many opportunities to announce it. I don't know. I think Spider-Man 4, but the Blade thing is such a mystery to me.
Yeah, I just think that they're already planning on the shoots for Tom Holland's
Spider-Man. Yeah, that could happen today.
Yeah,
but the Blade thing, that's been the biggest enigma of the last 5 years. Like why nothing's happened, and like directors out of nowhere being like, I'm not directing Blade. And I was like, I didn't hear you were.
Pete Parker 2288. Did you guys ever discuss Keaton's comments on Batgirl? I think he said he didn't care that it was canceled. I'd still be curious to watch it someday.
Big check.
Paycheck, and nobody's ever going to see it. Oh, you think I wanted to be on the show? I didn't really care.
His quote essentially was like, "It was a lot of fun. Sad for the cast. They did a good job. They really want to see it, but big check, fun check.
Put in the suit, pay some bills.
And then Bad Boys 4 came out and broke records, and then Beetlejuice came out and broke records, and they had the two of that combined. I'm so happy DC's got a new power structure because like this year has just been such an example of like.
Yeah, Mike Joyce. Will I like Super/Man if I haven't seen the '78 Superman? I think you should see it.
I actually am that very unique demographic. I had not seen 78 Superman until my 30th birthday. That's the last thing I watched as a 29-year-old. I've still never seen Superman 2, 3, or 4. And the Superman documentary made me cry a bunch of times.
But you did see the first one, though.
I did see the first one,
right.
and I would, but it's such an emotional documentary.
Sure.
I think it's just the humanity of it really is powerful.
It'll make you want to watch those movies, I'll tell you that.
100%.
Yeah. Buster Barnes. By the time we get DCU Batman, we'll only have one Pattinson movie to go, so I don't think confusion is that big of an issue. It's not like they're running 2 Batman trilogies that start at the same time. I agree with you, but it doesn't change the fact that people don't look that way and that the executives will probably start talking about that now. And those executives that are talking about it might not even be there by the time that this thing comes out. That's the other thing. So, yeah, 100%. Aaron the Creative. Does Brave and the Bold make over $500 million or under in the overall box office? I'm taking under. Sorry, Papa Doc. How can you take either the under or the over? You don't even know who's in it.
It's still Batman. I'm going over.
Winston?
Over.
Yeah, like just the character of Batman as the celebrity. Like, I don't even know. You could cast, I don't even know who's not popular, right? Cast Mel Gibson. It would still make money.
Todd Lane, good afternoon. Which big bad do you want to see the DCU build towards?
I said this last week. For me, probably Brainiac or Vandal Savage.
And I agree with Brainiac because I feel like he's super overdue.
Galaghost, love the live shows. Keep it coming. Thank you, Galaghost. And then Derek the Great. Kristian, no drape today with big balls? No, he took a day off. He created a new dance yesterday called draping. He basically drapes his balls over things. So, and Steph coined it. Steph liked it. Okay, so this is Julius Wyatt. Better Superman theme, Williams or Zimmer? Go Dogs. I mean, I gotta go Superman, but I'm not gonna be upset if somebody picks Zimmer.
You're saying Williams because you said I gotta go Superman.
Did I say Superman?
You meant the first movie. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just lean so heavy into the Batman themes that Williams.
Yeah.
Williams for me too, because I hadn't heard it like in the movie until recently, and it immediately made me feel like Superman. I didn't grow up with it, so that's how strong it is.
So good. Eric Krempa, hey dudes, I'm safe in Central Florida. I love that. Chance Good. Cube guy from the San Diego again. Glad your family is safe. Yes, they are. Thank you. Quick thing. I was pulling my hair out yesterday. Let the guys explain to you who Damian Wayne is, the Brave and the Bold story. Oh yeah, I mean I know now. Is like I guess that he was basically he's Bruce's kid, right? And he winds up getting into a lot of shit, and then he comes to live with Bruce, and then he turns into Robin. I mean, I got the gist of it.
That's the basic gist. If you want a deep dive, we can do it another day.
Yeah, we should because it's going to be coming up soon. I like where they're going with that. So Korean Emperor, is Spill the Tequila coming back? I miss it.
Yeah, no, it is. Roka and I just need to figure out some scheduling stuff is all.
Korean Emperor. I hope that they let the new DC have at least 3 movies out there before they make a decision. Either way, yes, they got to give some time for it to marinate. Unless if things bomb, there's nothing you can do about it. But if things just don't hit the exact numbers or ultra success, like what they did with Man of Steel. Man of Steel made enough money to warrant a sequel, and they should have waited, done a sequel to that movie first, build up to Justice League, and they didn't. They panicked. Also,
Supergirl's going to be done filming by the time Superman's out or close to it because it comes out the next year. So we'll have a few things before we start looking at it.
Aaron the Creative. Why couldn't I enjoy Acolyte the way I enjoy Agatha? I love Star Wars since I was a kid, but now it's slapping me in the face and telling me to love it. Because there's the difference between writing, because that's the whole point. Corey's not loving Agatha, but if you compare the two,
I don't think it's a bad show,
right? Though. And you thought Acolyte was a bad show, that's right?
Yeah,
right. So there's whether or not it's for you or not is a relevant conversation at this point. It's a matter of what you can recognize of this is a well-written show and a well-acted and good chemistry. Okay, let's see. I got a couple left here, and this is from Gopai Samidaran. I'm on tape delay today, so I just got to Coy yelling out in a row. I guess I'm one of the 5 members of the audience it was for. That was for Kevin Smith, right?
Yeah, I love it. It's a Clerks reference.
Yeah, the first one.
She does something to something 37 times in a row.
Go by Summer Darn says, also, I just saw the news yesterday that someone has bought the rights to Dogma, so they'll be doing a re-release next year. Yeah, he's going to be catching up to a great conversation. Nick Vaughn, in hindsight, do you guys think they should have recasted T'Challa? I don't think in hindsight, but I think that they could probably do it now. Winston, what do you say? I know you've been pretty vocal about this.
If this is the route we were going to end up going, then in hindsight, yes. But I still stay. I just wish somebody would have called me. I had your perfect out for that to make everybody happy. Literally, what you do is T'Challa disappears. Shuri has the same grief she goes through in Wakanda Forever, and then your post-credit scene is you just see a battle-torn like Panther habit, like the shoulder, so you don't even see the face, you don't know who it is, but Shuri looks up after accepting she's queen and going, brother, and then all of a sudden, boom, you recast for the next movie that you need T'Challa in. You had the moment to not have him there. Everybody wins.
Yep.
But
Todd Lane, sorry if you talked about this already, but Winston and Coy, what's your take on Henry Cavill and Voltron? We didn't really get a chance to because I figured that was one of the stories that dropped back because it's not necessarily a comic book movie story. But what are you guys' thoughts on Henry Cavill in Voltron, Coy?
He's so big. I hope he plays Voltron. I like when nerds do nerdy stuff. So I feel like this is such a tricky thing because he's been so like the Warcraft thing doesn't seem to be coming together any faster than it was a year ago. I want Henry Cavill to have a win because he seems like such a good dude. So I only care this much about Voltron, but if Henry Cavill's in, I at least care this much, and I want it to be this much of a success for him. So I'm invested because I like the guy.
Winston, you happy for this one?
Absolutely. He's a big old nerd. Every time he's a big old nerd and does a big old nerdy project, I get happy for him.
He's going to be perfect in that. Kaylin Jackson, Corin Sweat's 6'4". Alan Richardson is 6'3". DC's world finest. Book it. I don't like Alan Richardson as Batman. I like him in general, but I don't like him in Batman. It's too big.
He's a little too big.
Yeah.
He's a little too big.
Be a great Juggernaut.
For real.
Be a great Colossus.
For real. Great Colossus. Great Bane. Good Bane,
bro.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
He looks Russian, though, Colossus. But yeah, if you see, the problem with him as Batman is you see Bruce Wayne at a gala, and then he disappears, and then the jackedest dude ever comes back in a suit.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's Batman.
But I think they should keep Bane Latino also, though, too.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Derek Johnson. Winston, please tell us that you understood what she was going for by staying and not leaving. Your date.
Oh, I promise you it wasn't anything on the naughty side of stuff because we already had that conversation.
Oh, nothing you need. Nothing,
I was not interested.
Nothing you needed.
Genuinely
joy mode. Nothing you needed joy mode for.
No.
Yeah.
I genuinely felt like she was trying to like squat her way into my apartment.
Right.
And I gotta explain to my roommate why we're in heaven and we dead.
Cooley High, what's up, man? Hey guys, do yourselves a favor and watch Rebel Ridge. So good. Also, Superman Lois is fantastic. You guys love Superman Lois? People love that show.
I haven't seen any, and I want to because I hear it's amazing.
People love it.
Fantastic.
People love it. I am Jax12. Mark it down. If Coy makes through 3 episodes of Arcane and says it's not for him, $100. I don't agree. I think Coy would love Arcane.
I think so.
I think Coy would love it. It's
$33 an episode is enticing.
I'm telling you, you should absolutely check it out. Pete Parker 2288 theories on who Vic will become in Penguin.
Dead.
You think he's going to be dead? I think he's going to turn into Jesse.
Oh, he's Robin all day. I think the writing is like the first season of Breaking Bad was supposed to be, whereas at the end of the season he dies and it shows how evil Penguin is, like Walter was supposed to be. I think dude gets crowbarred. I've only seen one ahead of where we are. This is where I'm caught up. I think he's got the Robin origin. He was stealing the rims like Tim. I think dude gets crowbarred at the end of episode. There's 8. I think at the end of 7
Jason, bro.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Jason. I think he's getting crowbarred. Correct. Nerd card.
Mark this down right now. The day I corrected Coy on the shit.
You know what I think?
With confidence.
You know what I think is going to happen? I think that he is going to be cast as Miles Morales. That's what I think is going to happen.
That would be actually great casting, though you might end up in another colorism conversation.
Why?
Isn't he half Latino, half black?
I thought he's half black.
He is, but it's the same thing where his original like artwork in the first few things, he was a little bit darker. He's been like, again, different universes. You've seen it in all different flavors, but I would not be surprised if that conversation pops up again. I don't necessarily think it needs to, but like that was one of the things we didn't talk about in 97 because I didn't think it was relevant to talk about it here. But that same thing happened with Sunspot. You had the same issue where people were like, "You're erasing his history," and come watch Blood Breakdown.
Swan King, Batman may not show up in The Penguin, but could Catwoman make an appearance? She is half the sister of Sophia Falcone.
I forgot about that.
What do you think?
Oh, dude, that whole conversation where there's I think that's coming. I don't know, but I mean that's my biggest crush in the world, Zoe Kravitz. So I want to see her in anything. Please.
She's pretty great, Zoe Kravitz. Josh Needle, did you guys see the recent David Corenswet interview where he teased that Superman marketing could start in December? Trailer at CCXP Brazil, maybe. That's what we talked about. So there's the possibility you get at least a little teaser. Why not? I mean, because they've teased out things. It's only 6 months out. It's possible.
I think this next year is going to be like the Barbie campaign, where it's going to be like a huge surge in the summer, but they'll be starting as early as December. I think next year is the year of Superman. It's going to be awesome.
Buster Barnes, like Coy said, I think the two Batmans would have different rogues, Bar Joker and maybe Catwoman. Also, do we want gray and blue Batman? For me, I don't give a crap about that.
I personally think it'd be smart to do something where like the Pattinson one is visually so dark that you could do an awesome Neil Adams yellow on the bat, blue cape, gray. I'd love that because we haven't seen it.
Derek the Great says, I'm not a DC hater. I don't take you as a DC hater at all. I take it the exact opposite. I just want it to be better. Hopefully we get there. I love these comics and characters, and I honestly haven't gotten a good representation yet of what I love. I feel the same way about Star Wars as you do, and I get people to say, "Oh, you're a hater on Star Wars now." No, I'm just rooting for a team in last place, and I want them to win the championship.
I don't think that there's a single that there are definitely some evil, just I hate things people out there, but I think a lot of people, and that's why I brought up like the foster pet situation. Those pets want to be loved. Yeah. It's just if you've been through trauma, you were right. Like, you know what I'm saying. Yeah. So I think that's all you were saying.
Yeah, 100%.
I think this is the most excited I've ever been for DC films. I've been talking about it twice as much because I have things to say because I'm so excited. So I think we're in good hands.
They have a plan. That's the whole point. Anytime you have a plan, you're going to get me on board. Nick Vaughn, I don't think Dynamic Duo is DCU canon yet. Is that true?
I know it's not Matt Reeves canon. I assume it's not DCU canon because actually it could be because the same voice actors are going to be voice acting in video games, animation, and movies. So maybe, but I don't know if they've confirmed it or not. Elseworlds, that's the power of it. We don't know.
Aaron Creative follows up. He said, actually, my bad. I meant, does Captain America Brave New World make over or under 500 at the box office?
If it's good, over. If the screenings are correct, under.
Yeah, I'm with that. I think the same thing is a potential of. I'd probably say, I unfortunately want to say under, but I hope I want to be wrong. But I say under. Coy?
I think this is actually going to depend on the fans. I don't think there's a built-in guarantee anymore. Yeah. So I think it is based on word of mouth, which I'm hoping is good.
Dr. No, will Kevin Feige step down after Secret Wars? No, he wants to be there for X-Men.
Yeah, no, he's been very vocal because he not only was he helping produce the original X-Men films, he wanted to do an XCU type situation, and Fox was like, "Nah, bro, you good." And then went over and did what he did at the MCU. So no, he'll be around.
Julius Wyatt, do you prefer Zimmer or Elfman's Batman theme or others? I love Zimmer's Batman theme, but Elfman to me is the iconic one, and I really like Giacchino's new one too. But I for me, Elfman all day. Yeah, everybody.
Between the two Elfmans.
Yeah. Blake Gilbert. Also, the soundtrack in Batman Forever is the best of the mid-'90s. Couldn't agree more. Later that day, I achieved balance after watching Forever and Joker 2 with watching The Dark Knight. I achieved balance after watching Forever and Joker 2 with watching The Dark Knight. That's the way you got to do it. You got to. The Dark Knight is still the best Batman movie that they're out there. Guys, we did it. Thank you to everybody who contributed. You guys hit 83. That's a big number. So you guys, that's total respect. You essentially would have tied Roxy and Mike, who were in the lead. Steph just had a career week.
Wish we could have got 6 more and been Batman 89 in this mug. Oh well.
Anyway,
next time.
Thank you guys so much for being here today. What a great conversation it was. Please check out Coy on his channel and Coy Genre. Please check out Winston Swaggy Blurred. And thank you for joining us each and every week. We got so much stuff coming up, so much news on this show in general, things that we're doing. I'm doing Rebel Ridge for a reaction. I'm doing the Venom movies for reaction. I'm going to be watching the Batman with my wife. Heat, she's never seen Heat. I'm going to be watching that with her. My friend Sam has never seen Warrior. I'm going to be watching Warrior. So we got a ton of stuff coming out. So make sure you check us out. Once again, thank you to Winston and Coy, and we'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace out.